हेलो। हाँ, एक बार आप आइए ना मैम। वो कॉल पे है तो क्या नाम से है उसमें? नहीं नहीं देखिए, अब आएगा।
सला चट्टान सा श्वास में तूफान सा पचधान को अब पार कर चुकी।
हाँ, ये ना। और प्रोफाइल मैम का दिखा रहा है। हाँ ठीक। हाँ ठीक है, प्रोफाइल दिखा रहा है ना। और मैम का ईमेल मेंटो भी दिखा रहा होगा। ईमेल। ईमेल। हाँ, ये बुक आ जाएगा। चलो। हाँ हाँ
गुड आफ्टरनून आंचल जी। गुड आफ्टरनून आंचल जी।
How are you?
फाइन, हाउ आर यू? बहुत
Always.
बहुत मुश्किल है आपको कैच करना हम लोग को।
नहीं नहीं सर, नॉट एट ऑल, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है। बस वो एक्चुअली ट्रेवलिंग थी मेरी 2 दिन
यस यस यस, आई कम टू नो फ्रॉम तरुण ऑल्सो, बट वी आर वेरी लकी एनफ टुडे टू गेट यू।
ऑल माइंड प्लीज, आप मुझे शर्मिंदा मत करें ऐसा
हाँ
कहते। आई एम ऑब्लाइज्ड।
हाँ
ऐसी ऑलवेज हैव बीन वेरी क्लोज एंड बहुत
हाँ।
सारे डेवलपमेंट किए मैंने आपके
कुछ
प्लेटफॉर्म
काम है
पे।
तो बताओ कि 2 मिनट तो फ्री हूँ।
राइट राइट राइट।
सर
तो
ऑडियो वीडियो इज क्लियर आई
तो
गेस।
हाँ,
क्या
सो
बोला मैडम ने?
आंचल जी, जैसे हम लोग जैसे आपने सजेस्ट किया
तो
था 2 से 3
पार्टी दो
आपका
लड़के को,
सेशन, फिर 3 से 3:30 क्वेश्चंस आंसर जो
मैं डांटते हो।
पार्टिसिपेंट्स होंगे वो ले लेंगे, वो ठीक रहेगा ना?
रहेगा ठीक सर, हो सकता है 2 से 3 में कंप्लीट ना हो,
ओके,
टॉपिक 9 थोड़ा लेंदी है इस बार,
करेक्ट करेक्ट करेक्ट।
क्योंकि
वहाँ
9
पे भी
में
डांट के
चेंज
आए हो?
है। तो एज अ रिजल्ट हो सकता है 2:15 तक मैं कोशिश करूंगी
चलो
वाइंड
ठीक है।
अप।
श्योर श्योर
30
श्योर।
odd minutes। वैसे मैं क्वेरी साथ साथ ही ले लूंगी सर जो चैट बॉक्स में आई।
और ऐसे आपकी पीपीटी ऐसी होती है कि क्वेरी सॉल्व हो जाती है। आपके
प्लीज।
स्पिल ओवर इफेक्ट्स और आपके क्या बोलते हैं 37 है, अदर देन 37 इसके बाद बचता क्या है?
ऑफिस में ही है।
It means it shows you have already gone through the PPT in so much
नहीं, मैं
detail.
एक्चुअली समहाउ हम लोग से ये नहीं हुआ, लेकिन आई हैव आल्सो सीन द लास्ट ईयर आल्सो एक्चुअली, राइट? सो वंडरफुल मेड, ब्यूटीफुली मेड।
Sir, I think we will be starting in another 2-3 minutes.
यस, अनदर 2-3 मिनट्स, यस यस यस, 2-3 मिनट्स।
मैम दिखो आई है ना। हाँ हाँ केनो
अच्छा
तो दे रहा हूँ।
Format.
सही है।
Right, sir.
हेलो
2 minutes.
यकीन नहीं अभी।
हेलो रोहित, आई एम ऑडिबल?
क्या? यस यस यस।
यस, वेरी मच ऑडिबल सर, वेरी मच।
क्या हाल है सर? अनूप जी, क्या खबर?
फाइनल, वेरी वेल सर, वेरी वेल।
बढ़िया,
सो
घूम के आ गए धनबाद?
अरे, धनबाद घूम के आ गए और हमको बहुत राज की बात भी पता चली, जो अपने डिस्कशन कर लिए तो बाद में बात करेंगे हम, कि धनबाद में
हाँ,
इतना दिन,
हाँ।
इतना अरसों के बाद क्यों, नीरज के रहते हुए पहले क्यों नहीं? ये पेनल्टी लगेगी।
हाँ, रोहित, ये बैकग्राउंड आवाज कहाँ से आ रहा है? देख तो।
ये म्यूट किया है भैया, आप लोग एक बार अपने आप को अनम्यूट कर लीजिए ना। सबको म्यूट ऑल कर दिया।
मैं आपको अनम्यूट कर लेते, हाँ।
हाँ, अनु पे आप म्यूट
करेक्ट,
ऑल।
हाँ, एक बार सबको म्यूट कर दे तो क्या प्रॉपरली
हाँ
बात हो पाएगी।
राइट।
ग्रेट 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 ग्रेट।
भैया अब 2 मिनट में चालू करते हैं, बिकॉज
नहीं, बस
पार्टिसिपेट।
दो दो तो हो गया। आई थिंक वी कैन स्टार्ट, वी शुड स्टार्ट। आंचल जी इज ऑल्सो अवेलेबल,
हाँ।
तो वी शुड स्टार्ट।
अ, Achal ma'am is not there.
नहीं, जस्ट आई एम टेलिंग हर टू। हाँ,
आ गए आ गए।
आंचल जी हमारे प्रेसिडेंट भी ज्वाइन कर चुके हैं।
Hello, Neeraj sir. How are you?
नमस्ते नमस्ते आंचल जी, थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर एक्सेप्टिंग आवर इनविटेशन।
My pleasure indeed,
थैंक
sir.
यू थैंक यू थैंक यू
We could match the dates, so ultimately it was finalized.
नहीं नहीं, थैंक यू। यस रोहित, वी कैन स्टार्ट।
Yes. So a warm welcome to all the participants and to our esteemed speaker, CA Aanchal Kapoor ma'am. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation on behalf of ACE. You have been delivering a lot of seminars for ACE as well, and whether it's a journal contribution toward the ACE magazine. And firstly, I would like to start with the thing that the most awaited thing, GSTR-9 and 9C, which our president and our chairperson, Mr. Anup Luharka and Neeraj Rodia, as a president, has taken up this call to take an interactive session with the best speakers of India. So, firstly, I would like to start this with with our ACA theme song. So, just allow me a second to play the ACA theme song.
तो तुमको बोलना भी है ना।
तू जो कर्म कर विश्वास हो जो धर्म पर हर नियति में हो गति जीत ले तो हौसला चट्टान सा विश्वास में तूफान सा पथधार को अब पार कर जो जीत ले तो
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for this.
थैंक यू।
Now, I would request our Honorable President of ACA, Mr. C.A. Neeraj Harodia, to with a welcome speech on this virtual discussion on GSTR 9 and 9C. Neeraj, please.
Thank you very much, Rohit. Let me first welcome our learned speaker today, C. Aanchal Kapoor. She joined from Amritsar. I'm right, Aanchal ji? Correct. So, when this idea came to my mind that this is the season of not only New Year or Christmas, so this is the season for GST 9 9C for all chartered accountants as well. और ये लास्ट मोमेंट पे काफ़ी सारे इश्यूज आते हैं, फाइलिंग इश्यूज रहते हैं, एनालिसिस के इश्यूज रहते हैं, इंटरप्रिटेशन इश्यूज रहते हैं. सो व्हाई नॉट टू ऑर्गेनाइज वन सेशन वेयर वी कैन हैव क्लियरली query solving or doubt clearing session we should hold. So then I requested Anup ji and GST team of ACA to organize it. So Achal ji, thank you very much once again. Or Mr. Yash is also there, who will be also taking the queries and everything related to 99C. So just I would like to mention that apart from this week is very hectic, and let me inform all of you that in our ACA office, so one program on Income Tax Act is already going on. So that program started from 15th of December, and that will continue till tomorrow. And this afternoon, we are having this virtual session on GST 99C. And tomorrow, we will have one more session on Python. So, through that Python technology, we will be helping you all to how to do the accounting with the help of Python, and many learned speaker will be there. On this Sunday, on 21st of December, there is World Meditation Day. So, from our lifestyle committee, we will have that meditation session where Sunita Damani ji will be taking that session, and that program will held in Alpha Nikunj Daga. So I will request the program that tomorrow we are holding and on that Sunday's program. So anyone who would like to join, please feel free to join that these two programs. And in January, I have ACA will have their IPO conclave. So in that, we will have the speakers from Mumbai, and they will be taking thorough sessions on that how and what will be the role of chartered accountants in IPO. And friends, since this is the GST session, so let me tell you that budget we are expecting, union budget we are expecting on 1st of February. On 7th of February, we will have a joint program with BCAS. There the speakers are coming from Bangalore and Mumbai. Mr. Pradeep Kapasi and Padam Kichaji both will be there. And I am happy to inform you that on 21st of February, NAFRA has decided to hold a program with ACA where we will be taking all the critical issues of NAFRA's observation and all. And on 13th March, we will have one session on structuring family succession and how to do succession with the help of creating trust. So for that also, we will have speakers from Mumbai. So these all programs till now we have lined up. Friends, our strength is our membership. So I'll request whoever have joined today and is not the member of ACA, please feel free to become member of ACA. I'll request Rohit to please share the link of our membership. And apart from that, we'll have two fellowship program. One program is on 17th and 18th January. We'll be going to Taj Ganga Kutir in Raichak. So already we have received registration of more than 60 people. So anyone is interested there to join us, please feel free. And one registration of fellowship we have already closed, that is of tour to Lakshadweep. So there also we have got registration of around 100 people. So these are the programs line up for next 3 months, and definitely will be coming program like this for our next 3 months that will inform shortly. So thank you again in this BG season. I can see around 55 participants have already joined, and I really appreciate the effort of our GST committee that in this BG season we all have taken out some time and arranged this seminar. So take the maximum benefit of this. And Anupji, now I will hand over to you and please take it forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, President, for this introductions. And now, Rohit, I'll hand over to you to take it forward.
Okay. Thank you, CA Neeraj Kumar Arodia sir, for being such a dynamic president for ACA and coming with such a lot of beautiful programs and forthcoming and proactive person to take care of all the ACA members in a lot of ways, whether it's a professional development or whether it's a good kind of a fellowship. And now I would like to introduce our esteemed speaker for the session. So we generally come across with a lot of profiles, but few profiles just get stuck and you just want to read and read it. And here is the profile which I would like to read and tell about our CA Aanchal Kapoor ma'am. So let me share that screen with you so that you can also have a look at how the profile is all about. And so many of accomplishments is there. So let me just read few very astonishing things about ma'am. So CA Aanchal Kapoor has made exemplary contribution to the profession and industry as a national speaker on GST, chartered accountant and law graduate in taxation practice for more than a decade, that is 14 years. With privilege of educating over 1,000 plus deliberations across India to professionals, industry and trade at large, she has a prerogative of addressing an August gathering of 2,200 plus participants at one point. So she is a renowned faculty for NASIN and master trainer of Punjab's SGST and CGST and approved faculty of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. She has also an additional qualification of Forensics Audit and Fraud Detection course by ICAI. And she is also a co-opted member of our National Indirect Tax Committee for 25 and 26. So one thing which I really like about ma'am, that was she has been a rank holder of CA at various levels. And she has also been a regular writer at various online discussion portals such as Taxman, Tax Management India, Tax Guru, and our ACA journals as well. She has been a co-author of various ICA publications. So the more I tell you about ma'am, the more you want to know more about ma'am, and such an accomplishment at just 14 years of a thing. I think ma'am, I think it's all an honor to host you as a speaker for our ACA platform on this thing. And ma'am, the forum is yours, and I would love to get the session ahead with this. I would humbly request you to unmute ma'am and take the session forward.
Rohit, memento also is
Yes.
required to be given, Rohit.
So ma'am, we on behalf of our ACA, we would like to present you an e-memento for accepting our invitation on this, ma'am. So that's an e-memento from ACE team for you on this occasion.
Thank you so much, Rohitji, and the entire team. Thank you. I heartily accept the same.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. And the session is your, ma'am. So please, we would love to hear you out. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Rohitji, for adding so many adjectives to my profile. I am really obliged. And আমাকে এই webinar রে বক্ত রাখনোর জন্য ACA কে ধন্যবাদ জানাই. I hope I have tried to have
Yes.
in Bengali, but I'm really thankful to ACA Kolkata, CA Neeraj Harodia ji, the president, Tarun Kumar Gupta ji in absentia, with whom I had the conversation personally. CA Anup Kumar, sir, for making me come here on this platform of ACAI. So thank you so much, and I hope I will be able to make the best utilization of the time, and the participants and me, from their queries and from my experiences, we will be enriching each other. So now, without taking much time, as we are really short of time for discussing 9/9C, but I really want to tell you one thing, ACA, that I'm so thankful. There were so many requests on my phone for the webinar on GSTR-9, which I was not able to conduct because of the ongoing seminars on the same issue. So this way I will be able to share this video on various platforms. Thank you so much for the same, sir. Now, to the participants, the chat box is all yours. And I request you to put as many as topic related messages therein, and which I will be able to take simultaneously with GSTR-9 topic, which I will be deliberating upon. Any queries left will be addressed at the end of the session. So with this, I just share my PPT. Here it is. No, it has to be reshared. It says it's not shared. One second. Now I think so it is visible.
Yeah, yes, ma'am, it's visible.
All right. So participants, let me open the chat box.
Yes, it is very much visible, ma'am.
Thank you. All right, sir. And friends, are you all ready for GSTR-9? Can I see a few thumbs up in the chat box? Great, great, Ashfaq ji, thank you. So friends, Anjali ji, so good to see. All right, friends. So GSTR-9 for 24-25, I would say बहुत सारी anomalies थी. I will be making up a Hindi mix. So there were certain anomalies for the year 23-24 or backdated, which have been really corrected in this GSTR-9 9C forms. So table 8 में जो differences आते थे, reclaims के जो differences थे, all those have been corrected in GSTR-9 9C. But before I start the session, I want to ask you a few things. We have been filing the same for of GSTR-9 for past so many years. May I ask you, when you fill the figures of output in your GSTR-9, from where you pick those figures from? Quickly in the chat box. From where you pick those figures from? GSTR-1, books of accounts, okay. Pankaj ji said books of accounts. Ashfaq ji said 4. Alpa Daga ji said accounts, okay. Anybody else? Sir, Devesh ji, GSTR-1 figures are auto-populated because that is the only bifurcation of output which is available to the system to understand that what is B2B, what is B2C. GSTR-3B is a khichdi. It's a mix altogether. So it is GSTR-1 which bifurcation comes from. As a result, I would say you have to calculate the turnover. So the answer to this question is, somebody said 1, somebody said 3B, somebody said books of accounts, but I have left this issue blank. Why I left it blank? Because we need to calculate the turnover as per section 2 clause 6 of GST. Those who said books of accounts, let me ask you, if you take it from the P&L account, the audited trading and P&L account, there might be certain incomes of the proprietor in the capital account. There might be certain incomes which is not the part of his business books, but have been shown in the ITR. There might be certain incomes which are the part of 26 AS and have not been added. You know, there is a limit of 2 crores and 5 crores, which is applicable for GSTR-9 and 9C respectively for the year 24-25 also. Firstly, in order to calculate that limit of 2 crores or 5 crores, we need to check कि किसका 2 crore or 5 crore cross हो रहा है. How many 9 or 9C we are supposed to find. So, in order when you make that list, अगर आप सिर्फ 3B का टर्नओवर लेके चलते हैं तो हो सकता है 3B में कई ऐसी इनकम्स थी which were not accounted for, which were not sent to you by the accountant. But when you vigilantly check their P&L balance sheet, which is finalized, and you find कि कोई commission आ रही है या कोई rental incomes आ रही हैं, commercial rentals, जिसके ऊपर GST पे नहीं किया गया है, so 3B cannot always be a correct base. How you can make a value addition to your client is when you take that P&L and balance sheet, you actually scrutinize, check what incomes, and in all totality, 5 years interest, etc., can be saved for the taxpayer when the scrutiny notices come later. So you need to see 3B, but at the same time, you need to calculate the turnover as per section 2, clause 6, which says there are certain, changes, certain things. How I do it, I explain you. I get 3B figure noted in an Excel sheet. I check GSTR-1 sales noted in the Excel sheet. हो सकता है 1 और 3B में फर्क हो और किसी एक में टर्नओवर ज्यादा हो. Secondly, I also get noted the changes which are required for 2 clause 6. Example, inter-branch transfers, जो income tax के trading P&L में net off हो जाती हैं. But there are certain things जो आपको यहाँ पे inter-branch transfers account for करनी है 2 crore और 5 crore के लिए. Secondly, sale of fixed asset, which is the part of your depreciation chart. We need to add that fixed asset turnover in order to reach the limit of 2 crore, 5 crore. So certain adjustments, sometimes cross charts, etc. All these adjustments should be made. The turnover should be checked as per 2 clause 6. And that should be rightly feeded in your GSTR-9. Friends, GSTR-9 is also statutory form. बहुत लोगों में I have seen sometimes whatever is the auto-populated figure, those are, the 9 is filed the same way. It is a statutory form. It is a return. It needs to be filled. It is in a proper way. It is the last chance for you to correct your errors in order to save the taxpayer from the hazards of interest or penalties later on. The disclosures that are given in GSTR-9C may even protect the client from the allegations of section 74 later on while adjudication. 9(9)C को कई बार ही शो कॉज नोटिसेस इशू करते हुए कंसिडर नहीं करता है सिस्टम का, जो डिपार्टमेंट का सिस्टम है. If the appropriate notes are given there while filing 9C and the errors are corrected while filing GSTR-9, that can be a big savior. There have been lots of high court judgments which says, like we have Shanmuga Hardware, we have Ankit Kumar Agarwal, which says that GSTR-9 में भी अगर आपने करेक्शन कर ली है तो उसका बेनिफिट टैक्स पेयर को दिया जाएगा. As a professional, as a chartered accountant, you provide 2 types of opinion. When client करने जा रहा है, so नया ITC ले सकता है 9 में? Answer is no, नहीं ले सकता, because it is not as per the instructions of the form. However, and furthermore, it has to be routed through the credit ledger and so on. But high courts, on the basis of jurisprudence, we can say that if the taxpayer has committed the mistake which has been corrected in GSTR-9, so courts have advanced the benefits of correct filing of GSTR-9, and courts have mentioned कि अगर आपने 9 का corrections consider नहीं करना है, so make the form redundant. So the 9 form is very, very relevant. अगर कोई ऐसे टैक्सेस हैं, ऐसी इनकम्स हैं, ऐसे टर्नओवर्स हैं जिनके ऊपर आपने टैक्स पे नहीं किया है, पे करना बनता है, तो आप उसको 9 में करेक्टली डिस्क्लोज करें. सो दैट इज व्हाई आई सेड यू नीड टू कंप्यूट एज पर 2 क्लॉज 6, जिनमें क्लाइंट्स आपके ट्रेवल एजेंट्स हैं, फॉरेन एक्सचेंज डीलर्स हैं, और आप रूल 32 फॉलो करते हो, तो उसकी अपनी टर्नओवर कैलकुलेट होती है. GST में टर्नओवर एज पर GST रिपोर्ट होनी चाहिए. So you need to recalculate this. Right now, moving to the next point, spillover effects. Abhi Anurag sir was talking about spillover effects. Now, in case of spillover effects, last time तक हमें problem आती थी 3B is a mixture. 3B एक mixture है, उसमें हम segregate ही नहीं कर सकते. Last year का, इस साल, इस year का, next year गया, and so on. Now the government has given a column 6A1. You know 6A में ITC ऑटो पॉपुलेट होकर आता है. अब वो जब ऑटो पॉपुलेट होके आता है तो उसमें पिछले साल के इफेक्ट्स जो इस साल के हैं वो भी ऐड होके आ जाते हैं. हम कहते थे नीचे हमारा डिफरेंस आ जाता है जो लास्ट ईयर के एडजस्टमेंट्स हमने इस ईयर किए हैं. नाउ दे हैव गिवन द कॉलम 6A1 फॉर द इनपुट्स ऑफ लास्ट ईयर टेकन दिस ईयर, कि आप उसको ऊपर ही 6A1 में माइनस कर दीजिए सो दैट मेरी जो GSTR-9 है वो करंट ईयर के इंपैक्ट से ITC उसमें आए. टेबल 8 में जो 2B के अकॉर्डिंग ऑटो पॉपुलेट होगा उससे कंपेयर करने में इजी है. So now you have 6A1 for the ITC spillover effects, but no separate column given for output spillover effects yet. Right? Now let me draw a box for you. This we have already discussed कि 2 crore 5 crore का limit is still applicable for GSTR-9 and 9C. What I want to say, हम जितना भी 9 we will be discussing is divided into 3 blocks. मैं explain कर देती हूँ. हम 24-25 की फाइलिंग करने जा रहे हैं. वी आर गोइंग टू फाइल 24-25. तो 24-25 का बैक ईयर था 23-24 एंड नेक्स्ट ईयर इज 25-26. नाउ व्हाट इज द प्रॉब्लम? गवर्नमेंट ने 23-24 के लिए करेक्शन टाइम पीरियड, मतलब आपको एनॉमलीज ठीक करनी है, पुराने क्रेडिट्स लेने हैं, टाइम पीरियड दे दिया नवंबर 30 तक. ओके, इसका मतलब मेरी 24-25 में पिछले साल का इंपैक्ट आया होगा जो मुझे अलग करना पड़ेगा. रीजन, भाई मुझे फाइलिंग आई हैव टू फाइल इट फॉर द ईयर 24-25 व्हिच इज माय बेस ईयर. आई हैव टू फाइल इट फॉर 24-25 दिस ईयर. राइट? इसमें से जो पिछले साल के इफेक्ट्स है वो बाहर निकाल दीजिए, डिडक्ट दोज इफेक्ट्स. And 24-25 के लिए likewise we have time till 30th November 2025 जो अभी 18 days पहले पास हुआ. 30th November 2025 तक, because you had time to make the corrections for the year 24-25 and 25-26. So those things are to be added. पिछला बाहर निकाल दीजिए. We are standing on the block of 24-25. Remove the effects of last year. Add the effects of next year pertaining to 24-25 to arrive at the correct figure of 24-25. So all these things have been based on the same criteria. I will come to the question of interest being part of the annualized turnover or not a little later. Keep it on hold for some time. Right? Now if I say GSTR-9 9C, yes, there is a good news. You can see the person dancing right in front of your screen. Otherwise भी लॉ में रिस्ट्रिक्शन पहले नहीं था, लेकिन एनुअल फॉर्म की इंस्ट्रक्शंस कहती थी कि एनुअल फॉर्म में जब आप एनुअल रिटर्न ड्रॉप डाउन DRC 03 में सिलेक्ट करते थे, आपको उसका पेमेंट कैश में ही करना था. Additional liability at the time of filing GSTR-9 was required to be paid in cash only. However, कोई रिस्ट्रिक्शन लॉ में नहीं था. आज अगर हमें 73-74 का नोटिस भी आते हैं, टैक्स की डिमांड एडिशनल लायबिलिटी क्रिएट होती है, we can still pay it through cash. But the form had this instruction. Now the instruction from the form has also been changed to that it can be paid through cash or credit. Now it can be paid through cash or credit. So that is why additional liability now can be discharged through credit even by selecting DRC 03 annual return. The credit option will also pop out. So a point that has been changed. Now I come to the changes with this screenshot and its analysis. Right? Now moving ahead, first of all, let me come to 6A1. Okay. 6A में ऑटो पॉपुलेट होकर ITC आ जाता है. बिकॉज 6 में ऑटो पॉपुलेट होकर ITC आता है, एज अ रिजल्ट उसमें लास्ट ईयर के ITC के इफेक्ट साथ में आ जाते हैं. रिमूव इट, बाहर कर दीजिए. 6A1 को में से वो इम्पैक्ट डिलीट कर दीजिए। सो 6A2 में सिर्फ 24-25 का डेटा रह जाएगा। सो नेट आईटीसी ऑफ द फाइनेंशियल ईयर 24-25 will be left only in this, right? But इसमें अब उन्होंने पॉइंटर्स क्या दिए? सबसे पहले I will take you to this slide, or before this I take you to the slide of GSTR-3B. अच्छा एक बात बताइए, anybody who can tell me GSTR-3B का फॉर्मेट चेंज हुआ था? Do you remember? Can you tell me in which month it was revised and what was the revision? What was the revision and in which period was it revised? Okay, let me tell you. July 2022 3B का फॉर्मेट रिवाइज हुआ था। उसमें डिफरेंस क्या था? I want you to be with me because इसी डिफरेंस पे मेरे सारे 9 के डिफरेंसेस वर्कआउट होंगे। अगर आप पुराना फॉर्म देखते ना तो इस तरह से कुछ रिवर्सल्स आते थे, ऑटो पॉपुलेशन नहीं था, लाइक दिस, सॉरी, like this, like this. But now, in July 2022, wide notification 14/2022 and circular number 170, yes, Alpha जी, absolutely right. The reversal का फर्क आया, ऑटो पॉपुलेशन का फर्क आया. Let's suppose आपने 100 रुपीस की, let me change the color, आपने 100 रुपीस का इनपुट लेना था, बट 20 में से गुड्स आपको रिसीव ही नहीं हुए. चलो वी टेक द एग्जांपल ऑफ ACAE. ACAE में किसका नाम ले? लेट्स टेक नेम ऑफ रोहित जी इटसेल्फ. रोहित जी ने एक साड़ी he was supposed to send to person in Amritsar who is a dealer. साड़ी भेजी which month? March 31st को. Sari is received, the garment is received in the month of April 2025. अब what happened? ट्रेडर ने या द मर्चेंट उसने तो डाल दिया आपके आपने GSTR-1 में और 3B में, ऑटो पॉपुलेशन हो जाएगा. ITC का 20 रुपीज का ITC है, that gets auto populated in the month of March 25 itself. March 25 itself, but the goods are received in the month of April 25. So I cannot take the credit. Make it a point. The officers also, while adjudicating, calls for the ledgers of the last days of purchases in order to check कि जो goods consignments later part of the month में चले हैं और जिनका transit का period था, आपने उनका credit early तो नहीं ले लिया, in order to call for the interest on the same. So आपने कहा मुझे तो 20 रुपीज लेस करने हैं, अल्टीमेट आईटीसी मुझे 80 रुपीज का लेना है. व्हाट दिस फॉर्मेट चेंज सेड, आपको 100 ऑटो पॉपुलेट होगा, ऑटो पॉपुलेट होगा. 20 रिवर्सल के कॉलम में डालिएगा, 4B2 में डालिएगा, बिकॉज यू आर सपोज टू नॉट इन 4B1. 4B1 means for permanent reversal. You have to take this ITC again in the month of April 2025. So put it in 4B2. What you are supposed to do, आपको 100 ऊपर ऑटो पॉपुलेशन में आने दीजिए, 20 नीचे कट कीजिए. अगर मतलब किसी चीज को हटाना है तो आप ये मत कीजिए कि 100 को उठा के सीधा 80 लिख दीजिए. नो, मेनी पीपल थिंक कि हम तो ITC कम कर रहे हैं तो हमें नोटिस तो नहीं आएगा. बढ़ा थोड़ी रहे हैं जो ऑटो पॉपुलेशन हो रहा है, रादर बढ़ाना अलाउड है. क्यों अलाउड है? अब अगले महीने का सोचिए, आपका ITC 150 था अप्रैल में, आपने 20 पिछला लेना है प्लस 20 विच इज कॉल्ड रिक्लेम. रिक्लेम जो आपने 4B2 में रिवर्स किया था, अब आप उसको दोबारा ले रहे हैं. दिस वन रिक्लेम आप जो भी कर रहे हैं उसको मेंशन कर दीजिए अदर डिटेल्स में 4D1 में, and you are supposed to add that in the next month. पिछले में रिवर्सल करिए, अगले में ऐड करिए. जिस पर्सन ने ये नेट बेसिस यूज किए होंगे, 80 लिया होगा, अगली बार जब वो 20 लेगा तो वो बोलेगा पिछली बार तो आपका रिवर्सल ही नहीं था, आपके रिक्लेम और रिवर्सल लेजर में ही कुछ नहीं है, एंड यू आर टेकिंग अगेन मोर देन द ऑटो पॉपुलेटेड थिंग. कई बार फर्क इसलिए नहीं पड़ता क्योंकि मेरे अगले महीने का ज्यादा होता है, वो अगले महीने पोस्टपोन होता है. बट व्हाट इज द करेक्ट वे ऑफ फाइलिंग GSTR 3B? Do not change the auto-populated figure. If you want reversals, do it in permanent or temporary as per their nature. काटना है ना, रिड्यूस करना है ना, रिवर्सल में जाके करिए, ऑटो पॉपुलेशन में मत करिए. एंड रिक्लेम करना है तो 4D1 में दिखाई, शो इट इन 4D1. अब रिक्लेम की बात कर रही हूं मैं. रिक्लेम कई तरह के हो सकते हैं. जैसे मुझे गुड्स नहीं पहुंचे, मैं रिक्लेम करना चाहती हूँ. नाउ आई कम बैक टू माई the GSTR-9 columns that have been changed this year based upon the changed format of GSTR-9. Now see, उन्होंने बोला रिक्लेम करने जा रहे हो. मैं रिक्लेम को 2 कैटेगरीज में डिवाइड कर दूंगा. रिक्लेम ड्यू टू 37A रूल. व्हाट इज 37A? 180 डेज में पेमेंट नहीं किया तो रिक्लेम कर लीजिए. व्हाट इज 37? मतलब रिवर्स करिए, रिक्लेम कर लीजिए जब पे करोगे. व्हाट इज 37A? अरे सामने वाले ने 3B नहीं भरी, सप्लायर ने 3B नहीं भरी टिल सितंबर ऑफ नेक्स्ट ईयर, तो आपको 30th नवंबर से पहले उसको रिवर्स करना है. और जब वो 3B भर देगा आपको रिक्लेम मिल जाएगा. 3B ऑफ द सप्लायर की वजह से जो आपका रिवर्सल होता है, दैट इज अंडर 37. अब एक बात बताओ, ये दोनों जो रिवर्सल्स है ना, इनका नेचर पता है क्या है? आपने लेने हैं ना, तो उसके लिए 30th नवंबर का टाइम पीरियड नहीं लगता. जब 180 दिन के बाद पेमेंट करोगे, whenever you pay it, you can take the recredit, reclaim. जब भी आप सप्लायर 3B भरेगा, अब 3B भरने के लिए भी 3 इयर्स है, जब वो 3B भरेगा तो आप उसका ITC ले पाएंगे. इट मींस ये 2 रिवर्सल्स ऐसे हैं जिनके लिए 30th नवंबर ऑफ नेक्स्ट ईयर का टाइम पीरियड नहीं लगता. नहीं लगता, राइट? सो गवर्नमेंट ने कहा अब आप हो सकता है 30 नवंबर को लो, अगले साल दिसंबर में लो, जनवरी 26 में लो, मार्च 26 में लो. सो मैं ट्रैक नहीं रख सकते. एज अ रिजल्ट जो इन दोनों रूल्स की वजह से रिवर्सल होगा, रिवर्सल के बाद उसका रिक्लेम होगा, उस रिक्लेम को हम उसी साल का ITC मान लेंगे जब आप उसको रिक्लेम करोगे. मींस अगर मैंने जनवरी 26 में किया तो वो 26, 27, 25, 26 का ITC माना जाएगा. आपने उसको जिस ईयर में लोगे, दिस रिक्लेम विल बी टेकन एज द ITC ऑफ द ईयर टू इन विच इट इज बीइंग रिक्लेम्ड. अब ये उसी साल का रिक्लेम बनेगा, तो ये हमेशा 6H कॉलम जो रिक्लेम के लिए बना है उसमें होगा. फ्रेंड्स, अब आपको 6B और 6H में बाइफिकेशन करना बहुत जरूरी है. आई विल कम टू 6H. रिक्लेम समझ लीजिए, देन आई विल शो यू विद द एग्जांपल्स. नाउ अब इनके अलावा कोई रिवर्सल्स है? कौन से रिवर्सल्स? अरे गुड्स नहीं पहुंचे थे मार्च एंड तक या मंथ एंड तक, आपने 2 बार रिक्लेम किया. ड्यूरिंग द ईयर भी तो हो सकता है. और सेकेंडली आपके पास टैक्स इनवॉइसेस नहीं आए थे, और ड्यू टू एनी आपने गलत ले लिया था, उसको ITC को गलती से लिया, रिवर्स कर दिया, गलती से दोबारा लेना है. सो मेनी थिंग्स कैन बी देयर. इफ द ITC इज रिवर्स्ड एंड reclaimed other than due to rule 37 and 37A, अरे इसके लिए तो डेट 30th नवंबर ही होगी नेक्स्ट ईयर की. रिटर्न्स फाइल्ड अप टू 30th नवंबर ऑफ नेक्स्ट ईयर. एज अ रिजल्ट इसको तो हम उसी साल का ITC मानेंगे जिसको ये एक्चुअली बिलोंग करता है, क्योंकि ये एडजस्टमेंट तो अगले साल 30th नवंबर तक आपने करनी है. और GSTR-9 में इसके लिए उन्होंने पार्ट 5 ऑलरेडी बनाया हुआ है. ओके, इसका मतलब अगर मैंने कोई ऐसा ITC लिया है तो वो टेबल नंबर 13 में चला जाएगा इस साल 24-25 में, यानी 24-25 का ITC which you have taken up to 30th November 25 returns will be considered as the ITC for the year 24-25 itself, to be reported in part 5 table number 13 of GSTR-9 of 24-25. और अगले साल 25-26 में वो पास्ट ईयर का आईटीसी बन जाएगा, क्योंकि वो 24-25 का ही काउंट होगा। तो अगले साल जब जाओगे ईयर ऑफ रिक्लेम में, तो आप उसे रिमूव कर देना 6 से 1 में डाल के, और
मैम वो 8C में भी डाल सकते हैं,
सॉरी
8C में भी डाल सकते हैं, 8C।
सर मोहित जी 2 मिनट के लिए वेट करेंगे। मैंने जो डेलिबरेटली टेबल 13 लिखा है, क्योंकि इस बार 8C और टेबल 13 के मैचिंग में डिफरेंस है। आई विल लेट यू नो कि 8C में कब डालना है और कब नहीं डालना। शॉर्ट में बता देती हूँ, रिक्लेम वाला आईटीसी 8C में अब आना बंद हो गया है। पिछले साल तक टेबल 13 8C से मैच करता था, अब से हर केस में टेबल 8C 13 से मैच नहीं करेगा, and there is a very valid reason for the same. I will come to it in a minute. Now आपको इस बार का आईटीसी अगले बार दिया है, टेबल 13 में डाल दो, और अगले साल में उसको बाहर निकाल देना 6 से 1 में डाल के। सो रिक्लेम को डिवाइड कर दिया गया। अब आपका रिक्लेम का एक प्रॉपर कॉलम पिछले साल भी था, इस साल भी है, 6H। 6H। और मजेदार बात पता है क्या है, जब ये मैचिंग करने जाएगा टेबल 8 से, आई शो यू हियर, लेट मी कम टू टेबल 8। जब ये मैचिंग करने जाएगा ना टेबल 8 से, तो अब पिछले साल तक वो 6B और 6H दोनों को जोड़ के 2B से मिलाता था, जिसकी वजह से हम कहते थे ओहो मैंने तो 20 रुपीज आईटीसी लिया, 20 रिवर्स कर दिया, 20 दोबारा ले लिया, तो मैं 2B में कितने बार आएगा, एक बार 20। और जब वो 9 में पिक कर लेता था, 9 में, तो वो कहता था लिया कितना 40, रिवर्स कितना किया 20, और वो इस 20 और इस 40 को कंपेयर करता था और बोलता था आपने एक्सेस लिया है, क्योंकि रिवर्सल को तो कंसिडर करता नहीं था। दिस वॉज अ मेन प्रॉब्लम। फ्रॉम दिस ईयर जब आप उसको 6B और 6H में तोड़ देंगे, तो वो सिर्फ ये वाला 20 उठाएगा जो आपने रिक्लेम करके 6H में डाला होगा। दैट विल नॉट बी पिक्ड फॉर कंपैरिजन इन टेबल 8। सो आप जो कहते थे मेरे एडी में डिफरेंसेस रिक्लेम की वजह से आती हैं, that will now be stopped. Now 8B will be equivalent to 6B only and not compared with 8H. Practical example करके देखें। ओके सो देखो, अगर तो आपने 180 डेज वाला कॉन्सेप्ट फॉलो किया है, तो आपके ऊपर ये वाला रूल लगेगा, जहां 180 डेज है या 37 है। ऑल दो एक नॉर्मली है 37A में, बट नॉर्मली थोड़ा एंड में देखेंगे, टाइम विल परमिट। As of now, I am explaining the form as it is. Now, अब देखते हैं रिवर्सल और रिक्लेम के प्रैक्टिकल केसेस को, इन्हीं पॉइंट्स को थ्रू एग्जांपल्स। अच्छा, ड्यू टू 37 है, अरे ये तो 180 डेज वाला केस है। रिक्लेम उसी साल का आईटीसी माना जाएगा जिस साल में लोगे, राइट। अदर देन 37 में आईटीसी उस साल का माना जाएगा जिस साल को एक्चुअली पर्टेन करता है। अब पहले देखते हैं 37 और 37A वाला 180 डेज वाला। एक बिल अप्रैल 24 में आपने परचेज का लिया, आईटीसी ले लिया 100 रुपीज। 180 डेज निकल गए, आपने पेमेंट नहीं की, आपने उसको रिवर्स कर दिया, राइट, एंड आपने दोबारा पेमेंट कर दी सेम ईयर में। फ्रेंड्स, मैंने हर तरह से एग्जाम्पल ड्राफ्ट की है, सेम ईयर में लिया या अगले साल में लिया। कुछ लोगों ने ग्रॉस मोड फॉलो किया है, कुछ लोगों ने यानी 100 - 20 80, कुछ लोगों ने नेट मोड फॉलो कर लिया, सीधा काट के 80 कर दिया, कुछ लोगों ने पार्ट ऑफ द ईयर के लिए आईएमएस फॉलो कर लिया। मेक इट अ पॉइंट, तीनों सिचुएशंस में मेरे 9 के कॉलम चेंज हो जाएंगे। उन तीनों सिचुएशंस में मेरे 9 के कॉलम क्या बनेंगे, इस पीपीटी का पार्ट है। वी विल बी डिस्कसिंग दैट एज द टाइम प्रोग्रेसेस। Now, in this example, 100 लिया, 100 रिवर्स कर दिया, 100 उसी साल में पे कर दिया था, I took it again। अब सोचिए 3B से 9 में ऑटो पॉपुलेशन है। 3B में आपने कितनी बार आईटीसी लिया, 2 टाइम्स, 200, ये गया 6A में 200 ऑटो पॉपुलेटेड। ओके, आपको इसको ब्रेक करना पड़ेगा। यू नीड टू बाइफिकेट इट इनटू 6B। लेट मी हाईलाइट इट in the column 6B. Oh, too dark. Sorry. Let me erase it. A little lighter. Into 6B and 6H. Very important bifurcation. आपने कहा 200, देखो रिवर्सल में 7A गया हुआ है, अल्टीमेटली नेट इंपैक्ट तो 100 रुपीज का ही आ रहा है। 200 लिया, 100 रिवर्स किया, बट जब कंपैरिजन के लिए टेबल 8 में जाना है, 8 में आएगा 100 रुपीज, क्योंकि एक ही बार ऑटो पॉपुलेट होगा 2B से, माइनस अब वो सिर्फ 6B उठाएगा कंपैरिजन के लिए 100। एज अ रिजल्ट 8D में आपका लैप्स नहीं आएगा। सो व्हाट इज इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट? 6B, राइट। अब यही रिवर्सल अगर अदर देन 3738 का 37A का होता, मीनिंग गुड्स नहीं आए थे, सेम ईयर में आ भी गए, मतलब नेक्स्ट मंथ ही आ गए, मई के मई में, तो आपने ये दो एग्जांपल्स क्यों बनाई? इसमें भी तो रिक्लेम सेम ईयर में ही है, तो बाइफिकेशन तो वैसे ही होनी है। मैंने ये दो एग्जांपल्स इसलिए बनाई बिकॉज आई वांटेड यू टू सी द डिफरेंस ऑफ टेबल 7। हैव अ लुक। इसमें मैंने रिवर्सल के लिए टेबल 7A यूज किया है, क्योंकि ये रिवर्सल 37 रूल का था, या 37A का होता तो 7B में जाता। बट इन द नेक्स्ट एग्जाम्पल आई हैव यूज्ड टेबल 7H। रीजन, टेबल 7 इज नाउ मैंडेटरी। टेबल 7 जिसमें रिवर्सल्स आते हैं, आपको हर तरह का रिवर्सल उसके अलग अलग कॉलम में दिखाना है, 7A, 7B, 7C, 7D। और अगर आपने ये गलती की तो इसका इंपैक्ट एजुडिकेशन में क्या हो सकता है? लेट्स सपोज आपने रिवर्सल किया 17.5 का और आपने उसको डाल दिया 37 के कॉलम में, तो ऑफिसर कह सकता है आपने तो खुद ही डिक्लेरेशन दी है, मैंने 17.5 वाला कोई रिवर्सल किया ही नहीं है, आपने जो 37 का कर दिया वो आपने एडिशनल कर दिया, आई एम नॉट कंसर्न्ड विद इट, बट आपने 17.5 का नहीं किया है। So from this year, table 7 reversal needs to be bifurcated as per the subject. So that is अब इसमें तो सेम ईयर में ही ITC ले लिया था, तो वो उसी साल का रिक्लेम बनना था, इसलिए हमने उसको 6H में ही डाला। What if 23-24 का रिक्लेम 24-25 में किया? ओ, पिछले साल का ब्लॉक इस साल को इंपैक्ट कर रहा है, पिछले साल का ब्लॉक इस साल को इंपैक्ट कर रहा है। बट देखो तो सही, विच वन इट इज? इट इज अदर, सॉरी, दिस इज अदर देन 37 है। ओ, अदर देन में तो रूल था जिसका है उसी का मानो, जिसका है उसी का मानो। इसका मतलब अगर आपने इस साल में रिक्लेम किया है तो मुझे उसको रिमूव कर देना है। आपने एक ITC 23 अप्रैल में लिया, 23 अप्रैल में ही उसको रिवर्स कर दिया, आपको बिल बहुत लेट आया, आपने उसको मई 24 में ले लिया। पिछले साल का ITC इस साल जो मैं 24-25 फाइल करने जा रही हूं उसको इंपैक्ट कर रहा है। फ्रेंड्स, इन द PPT यू विल सी कि मैंने 3B के कौन से कॉलम्स आपने भरे होंगे, उसमें लिखा है, वो फिगर आपको कहां से ट्रेस हो सकती है, आई हैव मेंशन दैट थिंग ऑल्सो। सो आप 24-25 की रिटर्न भर रहे हैं, हम 23-24 की एक रिक्लेम उसको डिस्टर्ब कर रही है, क्योंकि अदर देन 37A का है, रिमूव कर दीजिए इसको। जब मैंने 3B भरी होगी, ये 100 रुपीज उसमें गया होगा 24-25 में, क्योंकि 3B में गया, ये ऑटो पॉपुलेट हो गया होगा टेबल 6A में, ये वाला 100, क्योंकि यही गया 24-25 की 3B में। बट ये तो रिक्लेम पिछले साल का है और 37A की वजह से नहीं है, रिमूव इट इन 6A1 0। लास्ट ईयर के ITC के इंपैक्ट खत्म, देखिए फ्री हो गए हम उनसे। लास्ट ईयर ITC इम्पैक्ट बीइंग वाइप्ड आउट। कई लोगों का ये एक क्वेरी हो सकती है। अभी वैसे एक एक्सेल शीट विच आई मेक फॉर माई सेल्फ फॉर माई ऑफिस, बिकॉज मुझे थोड़ा सा orally चीजें कम समझ आती हैं. That is why I use always the writing techniques, the old school. So when staff used to come and say me, ये figure नहीं match है, ये figure नहीं match है, so I say that bring me a comprehensive set for the analysis right in front of me. So I get the entire data summarized in the form of Excel sheet, and in Excel sheet ये columns सारे embedded किए गए हैं. Definitely this PPT and that Excel sheet will be shared with you all through the platform of ACAE. Right? All right. चलिए. Now, अब अगर ये ITC 3737A का होता, नो, फिर तो ये 24-25 का ही ITC माना जाता. Same example, but this time it is 3737A. अरे ये ITC ना 24-25 में लिया है और ये 24-25 का ही माना जाएगा. इसको 6 से 1 में जाकर वाइप आउट मत करिए. तो क्या करें, ये 100 रुपीज यहाँ ऑटो पॉपुलेट हुए हैं ना. ये आईटीसी भी इसी साल का माना जाएगा, बट ये है रिक्लेम. ओके, ये रिक्लेम है तो इसको 6H रिक्लेम में ले जाओ ना. वाइप आउट नहीं करेंगे आप 6A1 में. दिस इज द डिफरेंस ऑफ reclaims which are under 3737A or other than 3737A. Mostly your reclaims other than 180 days and सामने वाला का 3B not filed की वजह से will be going to other than, वो 6A1 में wipe out हो जाएंगे. और अब ये तो पिछले साल का इस साल इम्पैक्ट कर रहा था. What about इस साल का अगले साल गया है. अभी तो 30th नवंबर निकली और आपको पता है यू आर सपोज टू फाइल GSTR-9 पोस्ट नवंबर, क्योंकि अब आपकी टेबल 8 की फिगर्स भी चेंज होंगी. क्योंकि अभी हम देखेंगे हाउ, जैसे आप निकाल रहे हो ना, पिछले साल बाहर करो, अगला साल इन करो, अब आपका टेबल 8 भी सेम पॉइंट से आएगा. सो दैट इज वाई वो 30th नवंबर को स्टिल होना था पिछली अमेंडमेंट्स की वजह से. So from 1st December you were supposed to file GSTR-9. However, अगर आपको कोई amendments नहीं थे, could have filed it earlier also. Now, इस साल का ITC था, लिया अगले साल. ये वही साड़ी है जो मेरे तक नहीं पहुंची थी. नो, हाँ, यस. अप्रैल 24 में एक बिल नहीं आया था, हमने ऑटो पॉपुलेट हो गया ITC, क्योंकि अब 3B में ऑटो पॉपुलेट होता है. हमने उसको रिवर्स कर दिया. जो रिवर्स किया, अगेन देखो टेबल 7 की कॉलम्स चेक करना. आई हैव यूज्ड 7H जो रिवर्स हो गया. राइट. जो आईटीसी लिया मैंने 24-25 में, वो तो यहां चला गया, ये वाला 6A में. बट जो अगले साल लिया, द आईटीसी विच आई हैव क्लेम्ड इन नेक्स्ट ईयर, वो आया ही नहीं, और वो अदर देन 37 है. आईटीसी तो इसी साल का माना जाएगा, बट कब लिया मैंने, 30th नवंबर से पहले ले लिया. अरे टेबल नंबर 13 में ले जाइए ना. इस साल का आईटीसी अगले साल लिया, रिक्लेम किया टेबल नंबर 13 में. एंड द वन यूजर हु आस्क्ड मी, सर डोंट डू ड्राइंग ऑन इट. थैंक यू. ऑल राइट. Now I come to 8C. If I come to 8C, this 8C, sir, FAQ 16 का मैंने हर जगह FAQ रेफर किया हुआ है. FAQ 16 कहता है कि अगर एक आईटीसी इस साल का आप अगले साल रिक्लेम कर रहे हैं तो सिर्फ 13 में डालिए, 8C में नहीं डालिए. क्यों? क्योंकि 8A से कंपेयर होता है और रिक्लेम 2 बार ही नहीं आता. सो सिर्फ जो आईटीसी पहली बार लिया है पोस्ट मार्च 25, सिर्फ वही 8C में जाएगा. जो रिक्लेम होगा वो अकेला टेबल नंबर 13 में आएगा, अकेला 13 में आएगा. आई होप आई एम एबल टू मेक दिस पॉइंट क्लियर. अदरवाइज भी इसमें एग्जाम्पल्स जो है वो फर्निश की गई हैं. अब यही आईटीसी अगर 37 का होता तो दिस रिक्लेम 25-26 का माना जाएगा. क्योंकि ये 25-26 का माना जाएगा, ये कहीं नहीं आएगा 24-25 में, will not form part of table 8C and table 13 of GSTR-9 of the year 24-25. So ultimately reclaims को दो पार्ट्स में डिवाइड किया गया। 7 केसेस मैंने इसमें डिस्कस किए हैं। 7 के 7 केसेस की समरी राइट इज इन फ्रंट ऑफ यू। रिवर्सल एंड रिक्लेम, रिक्लेम चेक करिए 37 का है या अदर देन है। अब ये क्वेरी बहुत पॉप आउट हो रही है। लास्ट ईयर का आरसीएम था, इस साल टेकअप किया क्योंकि अक्टूबर 25 से अक्टूबर में जो आरसीएम है वो कई जगह पे इंट्रोड्यूस किया गया, जैसे रेंटल में, राइट। कई लोगों को पता नहीं था कमर्शियल रेंट हैज नाउ कवर्ड अंडर द आरसीएम। ऑडिट करने के लिए आया जब सितंबर 25 में, सो हमने बोला कि आपको इस पे पे करना था। अब द क्वेश्चन अराइजेस कि लास्ट ईयर यानी 24-25 का जो आरसीएम है आपने 25-26 में किया, तो आप उसको कहां कंसिडर करेंगे? एज पर द गवर्नमेंट FAQ issued, RCM of the last year, which is paid in the year 2, has to be part of the GSTR-9 of 25-26 only. People, you can consider कि हम उसको टेबल नंबर 10 में आउटपुट दिखा दें या टेबल नंबर 13 में इनपुट लिया अगले साल 30 नवंबर तक। उसमें आई हैव अ रिजर्वेशन, टेबल नंबर 10, 11, 12, 13 में आरसीएम के इंपैक्ट्स नहीं आते। आप देखना वो 4N कॉलम जो इनवर्ड सप्लाईज लायबल टू आरसीएम का होता है ना, वो उसको काट देता है वहीं पे। सो अगर आप इसको टेबल 10-13 में डालोगे ना, तो वो आपकी आउटवर्ड सप्लाई को डिसरप्ट कर देगा। सो मेनी पीपल ऑल्सो डू कि वो मतलब सप्लाई के अमाउंट में नहीं डालते, सिर्फ टैक्सेस में डालते हैं। बट एज पर FAQ ये 25-26 में जाएगा। अब बट हमें कई बार जब एजुकेशन कराते हैं या अदरवाइज ये पे हुआ है या नहीं, डाउन द लाइन 5 years वी डू नॉट रिमेंबर एंड वी आर अनेबल टू रिकॉल। सो जहां तो मेरी 9C दोनों जा रही हैं, आई एम गिविंग दिस थिंग कि बेस्ड अपॉन द FAQ मैंने इसको पे किया हुआ है और मैं इसको 25-26 के रिटर्न में दिखाऊंगी। आई एम नॉट शोइंग इट इन द GSTR-9 ऑफ 24-25, बट इट हैज बीन ड्यूली पेड इन so and so month in the next year. Where 9C is not there, some are resorting to कि हम सप्लाई में ना दिखाएं, 10 और 13 में दिखा दे, बट टैक्स इंपैक्ट होंगे सप्लाई के, हाँ, क्योंकि 13 कंसिडर नहीं होगा, 10 आपका कंसिडर होगा सप्लाई के लिए। सम आर इवन डूइंग 10, 11, 12, 13 चारों में दिखा दो, नेट इंपैक्ट 0, जस्ट फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ रिमेम्बरेंस कि हाँ आरसीएम अगले साल पे हुआ है, so you can show it that way with net impacts 0. As per FAQs, it has to be shown in the year 25-26, 25-26 and not in the same year. Sir, आपके वाला क्वेश्चन ना 8C में कौन से अमाउंट डाले? जो रिक्लेम हो गया, एक बारी रिक्लेम कर लिया, रिवर्स किया एंड रिक्लेम किया, उसको 8C में नहीं दिखा, वो सिर्फ टेबल नंबर 13 में जाएगा। लेकिन कुछ ऐसे ITC होंगे जो सिर्फ और सिर्फ पहली बार लिए ही मैंने 25-26 में है, पोस्ट मार्च 25, बिफोर 30th November 25, राइट। इन दैट केस एग्जाम्पल राइट इन फ्रंट ऑफ यू, मेरा ITC था 1,21,000 IGST का, सॉरी, राइट, एंड मैंने 1000 मेरे 2B में आया ही नहीं, वो आया ही जून 25 में। सो मैंने एज ए कंप्लाइंट टैक्स पेयर 120 लिया। जब आया अगली बार जून 25 में, तभी पहली बार ले लिया 30th नवंबर तक। सो ये 8C में भी आएगा और टेबल नंबर 13 में भी आएगा। But जो reclaims होंगे, like in the previous example, that will only go to table number 13. Now, in all situations, your 8C is not going to equal to table number 13, right? और एक चीज एक anomaly, although the very learned speaker in the next session will be discussing 9C, but just a small link I would like to share. 6A आने की वजह से, let me take a darker color, 6A1 आने की वजह से 9 में से पिछले साल के इंपैक्ट वाइप आउट हो चुके हैं, बट A9C के इस कॉलम में अभी भी पिछले साल के आईटीसी के इंपैक्ट लेने के लिए कहा गया है, जिसकी वजह से यहां पे अनरिकंसाइल्ड आईटीसी आ सकता है. दिस इज एन एनोमली. 6A1 आने की वजह से 12B में फिगर डालने से इट कैन रिजल्ट टू अनरिकंसाइल्ड आईटीसी बिकॉज इट बिलोंग्स टू द लास्ट ईयर आईटीसी अवेल्ड इन 24-25, for which you have already wiped that out in 6A1 of GSTR-9. Hence, I am not filling this column 6B क्योंकि मैं difference नीचे नहीं ला रही हूं. I am giving a note कि 12B column is not stated because the effects of last year are already wiped out through 6A1 of GSTR-9. So this anomaly has also been highlighted earlier, friends, later in this PPT. Friends, last year तक कुछ लोग 6M को यूज कर रहे थे. Here you are not supposed to use 6M. It is again very clearly restricted कि 6M column only and only meant for ITC which are not taken through 3B. So, और क्योंकि अब लास्ट ईयर इंपैक्ट 6A1 के थ्रू वाइप आउट हो रहे हैं, तो अब आपका 6J कॉलम में डिफरेंस 0 होना चाहिए. अगर आपका, क्योंकि लास्ट ईयर में क्या होता था, देखिए लास्ट ईयर का जो आईटीसी होता था वो यहां इंपैक्ट करता था. रिक्लेम को आप 6H से हटा देते थे क्योंकि वो टेबल 8 में कंपेयर करता था, आप उसको 6M में डालते थे. अब तो 6H को उसने कंपेयर ही नहीं करना टेबल 8 से. Now it is not going to compare. So you can safely put your reclaim in 6H. Safely put your reclaim in 6H and last year effects being wiped out in 6A1. Hence, your 6J should not be with the figure. It should be 0. Right? Again, मैंने HC का भी एग्जाम्पल दिया है. लास्ट, अब देखो इसमें भी क्या था, मेरा ऑटो पॉपुलेशन हुआ 120. ये अगेन पूरा एग्जाम्पल मैंने पोस्ट किया है विद 6 टेबल से लेकर 8 तक. अब यहां पे भी मैंने 8C का इंपैक्ट दिखाया है कि आपको 8C में रिक्लेम्स को रिपोर्ट नहीं करना है. सो दिस इज द एनोमली व्हिच आई हैव शोन हियर. नाउ लेट मी कम टू द टेबल A. 6M कॉलम का इंस्ट्रक्शन को स्कोप 6M का प्रॉपर्ली रिस्ट्रिक्ट कर दिया गया है. 7 कॉलम में 37A रूल ऐड किया गया है. आई हैव एन ऑब्जेक्शन ऑन दिस 37A. एनी हाउ 7 के सारे कॉलम्स आर नाउ मैंडेटरी फ्रॉम 24-25 ऑनवर्ड्स. अब जरा आते हैं टेबल 8 पे. टेबल 8 में क्या चेंज किया गया? याद है हम 3 ब्लॉक्स की बात कर रहे थे. व्हाट वर दोस 3 ब्लॉक्स? What were those 3 blocks? Starting में I started with the same. Was हम 24-25 का फाइलिंग कर रहे हैं. मेरी GSTR 24-25 के बेसिस पर ही होनी चाहिए. उसमें लास्ट ईयर और नेक्स्ट ईयर के इंपैक्ट्स नहीं होने चाहिए. सो एज अ रिजल्ट आपको क्या करना है, आपको पिछला साल कट कर देना है और अगला साल भी इस साल के इंपैक्ट जो इस साल आए हैं उनको माइनस करिए ना. सो वो भी यही करेगा. जब आपकी टेबल 8A में वो 2B से फिगर ऑटो पॉपुलेट करेगा तो वो 24-25 के जो 24-25 में आया वो तो लेगा ही, बट एट द सेम टाइम जो 23-24 के इनवॉइसेस इस साल आ गए हैं 30 नवंबर 24 तक, उनको खत्म कर देगा, लेस कर देगा. इवन अब 2B की जो फिगर इंपोर्ट होगी उसमें से 23-24 वाले इनवॉइसेस मींस इनवॉइस बेस चलेगा, माइनस कर देगा. और जो 25-26 वाले इनवॉइसेस होंगे, ये वाले 25-26 के 2B में जो 24-25 वाले इनवॉइसेस आ रहे होंगे उनको ऐड करके आपको एक मैचिंग बेस देगा विथ टेबल 6. Many people say this figure gets converted to 2A. No, it doesn't. I have already checked क्योंकि कई ऐसी चीजें हैं जो 2A में होती हैं जो 2B में नहीं है. सो ये 2B की फिगर उठा के उसमें 2 चेंजेस करेगा, पिछले साल के इंपैक्ट कट करेगा और अगले साल के इनवॉइसेस जो 24-25 को परटेन करते हैं उनको ऐड बैक कर देगा. राइट? सो अब टेबल 8D में जो डिफरेंसेस आएंगे, you need to have a proper explanation for the same. कई जगह पे लोगों ने नेट बेसिस फॉलो किया, कुछ डिफरेंसेस आ रहे हैं, वो रिवर्स किए गए हैं, बट वो रिवर्सल टेबल 8 के लिए मैच कंपेयर करने के लिए कंसिडर नहीं हो. सो व्हाट आई से कि अगर आपके टेबल 8 में फिर डिफरेंस जो आ रहा है कम से कम उतना रिवर्सल आपने उसको दिखाया हो, सो दैट इज द सूटेबल वे, बट वो डिफरेंस आना नहीं चाहिए. Now, 8A टेबल की डिटेल आप एक्सेल शीट में डाउनलोड कर सकते हैं. आई विल शो यू द एक्सेल शीट ऑल्सो. आप उसे डाउनलोड कर सकते हैं. लेट मी शेयर दैट टू. Here it is. Share this Excel sheet here. इस तरह से you can download this B2BA की वो फिगर 8A की ऑनलाइन कैसे बनाई गई है. लेकिन माइंड इट अ पॉइंट, 8A की ऑनलाइन फिगर और इस एक्सेल शीट की फिगर में भी मिसमैच हो सकता है. फ्रेंड्स, ये चीज हमें तब समझ आती है जब हम कितनी देर तक वी कीप अ टसल, कीप ऑन टसलिंग की हो ये क्यों मैच नहीं कर रहा है, एक्सेल इटसेल्फ इज नॉट मैचिंग विद 8A. The reasons have been given in FAQ. Let me show those to you. There can be the reason of amendments, place of supply amendments and such other changes जिसके बेसिस पर वो शो नहीं कर रहा होगा. अगर आपके ऐसे कुछ डिफरेंसेस आए तो यू कैन रेफर, बिकॉज दिस इज अ समराइज्ड फॉर्म. ये 5 रीजंस की वजह से, अदर देन द टेक्निकल ग्लिच, क्योंकि कई टेक्निकल ग्लिचेस में 8A ही ब्लैंक आ रहा है. सो वो जब आप टिकट रेज करते हो उसको करेक्ट कर देते हैं. सो 8A वर्सेस टेबल 8A एक्सेल एंड ऑनलाइन में फर्क हो सकता है. एज पर FAQ 8A ऑनलाइन इज द करेक्ट डॉक्यूमेंट. फिल्टर्ड आउट फिगर, इसमें ITC कम होगा. कारण हो सकते हैं RCM वाली कवर्ड सप्लाई, मैंने पूरा एग्जाम्पल बना के दिखाया है और ये डिफरेंसेस के 3 एग्जाम्पल आगे भी दिए हैं. Example number 1, example number 2, example number 3, right? और कुछ B2B अमेंडेड किए गए, नॉर्मल से रिवर्स चार्ज में डाल दिए गए, प्लेस ऑफ सप्लाई चेंज कर दिया गया. इनकी वजह से एक्सेल और 8A में फर्क आएगा. 8A ऑनलाइन इज अ स्क्वीज्ड फिगर, सो यू कैन ट्रेस आउट द डिफरेंस ड्यू टू दिस रीजंस. इवन 2B और 8A में भी डिफरेंस आ सकता है. There might be possibility कि 2B और 8A में भी डिफरेंस हो. In that situation, you can say invoice of 30, example I'm giving you. एक पर्सन ने, आपके सप्लायर ने GSTR-1 भर दी, आपके सप्लायर ने GSTR-1 भर दी, जिसकी वजह से आपके 2B में तो ITC आ गया, बट उसने 3B नहीं भरी. क्योंकि उसने 3B नहीं भरी, वो 8 टेबल में 8A में उसकी फिगर ऑटो पॉपुलेट नहीं करेगा. दिस विल रिजल्ट इन अ मिसमैच बिटवीन योर 2B एंड योर 8. बिकॉज उसने 1 फाइल की, 2B में आ गया, बट 3 नहीं भरी तो ऑटो पॉपुलेशन नहीं होगा. राइट? चलिए, द नेक्स्ट चेंज. अब हम टेबल 8 में कुछ और चेंजेस आए हैं. जैसे इंपोर्ट ऑफ गुड्स. फ्रॉम टाइम सिंस वी वर सेइंग कि बाकी ITC के लिए तो 30 नवंबर में अगले साल में जो एडजस्टमेंट्स की गई हैं उसके लिए कॉलम है, बट इंपोर्ट ऑफ गुड्स के लिए अगले साल में किए चेंजेस का कॉलम नहीं है. नाउ दे हैव इंट्रोड्यूस्ड 8H1, इंपोर्ट ऑफ गुड्स के ITC का नेक्स्ट ईयर में किया हुआ एडजस्टमेंट. नाउ यू हैव दैट कॉलम. This is a complete examples from table 6 to table 13. However, the impacts have been shown in the earlier PPTs itself. Oh, so we are out of the tables of input 6, 7, 8, and now we are coming to table 9, output का table. Table 4, 5 में कोई change नहीं है. Table 9 में they have given 2 columns. Ultimately, अब paid का total इन columns का यहाँ लगाया जाएगा and payable minus paid किया जाएगा. आउटपुट का लास्ट ईयर का इम्पैक्ट कोई टेबल नहीं है. दैट विल बी शोन हियर इन द कॉलम, लास्ट कॉलम, which says that difference in table column number 9 of table number 9. सो लास्ट ईयर का इम्पैक्ट यहां दिखेगा. अगर पिछले साल का कोई टैक्स पे किया है, पिछले साल के कारण कोई टैक्स कम किया है, सो दैट विल बी रिफ्लेक्टिंग, राइट फ्रेंड्स. ये जो मैंने एस्ट्रिक लगाया है पेबल का टेबल, ये ऑटो पॉपुलेट होगा बट अमेंडेबल है. यू कैन अमेंड इट. आपने टैक्स बढ़ाया है, आप इसको पेबल को चेंज करिए. जैसे आपने कहा कमर्शियल रेंट के ऊपर टैक्स पे करना है, गेट इट एडेड हियर. सो यू कैन अमेंड इट. बट ये ऑटो पॉपुलेशन पता है कैसे होगा? चलो एक एग्जांपल बताती हूँ. And this is important. अब आपको पता है 3B में नेगेटिव ड्यू टू क्रेडिट नोट्स, बिकॉज देर आर सर्टेन बिजनेसेस जहां रिटर्न्स जाती हैं, स्पेशली जो विंटर के हैं. सो विंटर से जब रिटर्न्स आती हैं तो सीएन का अमाउंट कभी कभी सेल से भी ज्यादा हो जाता है. राइट इन फ्रंट ऑफ यू, सेल की 100, सीएन दिया 80 का, पेबल आया 20. 3B में क्या गया होगा? आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट 3B. 20 पे कर दिया हमने, ओके. अगले मंथ में क्या हुआ? सीएन आ गए 130 के. ओ, सो 30 नेगेटिव बना. इट विल कैरी फॉरवर्ड योर नेगेटिव. आपको कुछ भी पे नहीं करना है. नेक्स्ट मंथ में आपका पेबल आया 75, वो आपका नेगेटिव 30 एडजस्ट करता है और आपको 45 पे करना है. नेक्स्ट मंथ में सीएन और ज्यादा आ गए, पेबल बना 120 नेगेटिव. अब आपका वो जो टेबल 9 में इंपोर्ट करेगा फिगर, वो पॉजिटिव मंथ्स की करेगा, नेगेटिव मंथ्स की नहीं करेगा. मीनिंग देयर बाय इट विल इंपोर्ट 20 and 45, 65 मंथली बेसिस. नेगेटिव जो सीएन की वजह से नेगेटिव हुए हैं उनको एडजस्ट नहीं करेगा. दिस 65 फिगर विल बी ब्रॉट इन योर टेबल 9 payable column from the 3B. From 3B, right? Now, furthermore, कुछ लोग कहते हैं अरे मेरे तो नेगेटिव क्रेडिट्स भी रिपोर्ट कर रहा है. अरे वो क्या है? इनपुट का नेगेटिव है. इनपुट का नेगेटिव मतलब, अरे मेरी आउटपुट लायबिलिटी थी 2000 रुपीज. माई आउटपुट लायबिलिटी वॉज 2000, लेकिन मेरा एक जून 24 में ना रिवर्सल ज्यादा है आईटीसी का, मोर देन आईटीसी. सो 500 नेगेटिव हो गया. अब ये क्या करेगा? जब आपका पेबल कैलकुलेट करेगा तो ये 2000 तो लाएगा ही, प्लस जो आईटीसी जिस मंथ में नेगेटिव हुआ होगा उसे भी जोड़कर पेबल में ऐड कर. सो अगर आपका सीएन की वजह से नेगेटिव है तो नेगेटिव को इग्नोर करेगा, पॉजिटिव वाली फिगर पेबल में उठाया होगा उसने. इफ योर ITC is going negative in any ways, in any month, it add backs to your output liability, right? Table 10, 11, 12, 13 almost same है. हाँ, 14 में भी वैसे ही पेबल और पेड का कॉलम इंसर्ट किया गया है. दिस डिफरेंस कॉलम, पेबल माइनस पेड. HSN summaries में sale summary is mandatory for the year. However, purchase summaries are not mandatory. अब आप HSN की डिटेल्स का भी एक टेबल डाउनलोड कर सकते हैं लाइक दिस. एंड आई थिंक सो HSN समरी इंपोर्ट इज अ बिग इशू. 0.01 का डिफरेंस एक्सेप्ट करते हैं. समटाइम्स यू कीप मैचिंग द सेम, राइट. ई कॉमर्स में जो 3B में चेंजेस आए थे उसके रेलेवेंट चेंजेस इसमें हैं. यस, GSTR-9 का लेट फीस 9 और 9C, 9C you will be taking up there, but लेट फी पे एक सर्कुलर इशू हो चुका है 246. Sir, 9C also is now the part of annual return only, because अब तो certification है ही नहीं. सो आपको जो लेट फी लगनी है, अगर आपकी 9 लेट है 1 मंथ से और 9C लेट है 3 मंथ से, मतलब आपने 9 भरी 31 जनवरी को, 9C भरी 31 मार्च को, तो आपको 4 मंथ्स का लेट फी नहीं लगेगा। 9 का लगेगा 1 मंथ का एंड 9C का लगेगा 9 से, मतलब 2 मंथ्स का। डुप्लीकेशन ऑफ लेट फी नहीं होगा। सो द एग्जाम्पल इज ऑलरेडी गिवन, नो डुप्लीकेशन ऑफ लेट फी। GSTR-9 के लिए लगेगा डेट ऑफ फाइलिंग, ड्यू डेट ऑफ फाइलिंग से डेट ऑफ फाइलिंग तक। 9C का लगेगा 9 की फाइलिंग से अगर वो लेट है तो। नो डुप्लीकेशन। फ्रेंड्स, इन दिस एग्जाम्पल अगर एक टैक्स पेयर IMS फॉलो करता है, जो कि 11024 से इंट्रोड्यूस हुआ, वो IMS फॉलो नहीं करता इन द सेम डीम्ड एक्सेप्टेंस है, तो आप देखिए कॉलम्स बदल जाते हैं। और अगर वो ग्रॉस मोड, मैंने स्टार्टिंग में बताया था ना, 100 लेगा, 20 रिवर्स करेगा, 80 लेकर आएगा, तो कॉलम्स बदल जाते हैं। अगर वो नेट मोड फॉलो करता है तो कॉलम्स, मतलब क्या, नेट मोड इनकरेक्ट नॉट एज पर नोटिफिकेशन, व्हाट ही डज, ऊपर से ही 100 को काट के 80 कर देता है। नेट मोड फॉलो करता है तो कॉलम्स बदल जाते हैं। आई एम नॉट राइट, मतलब डिस्कसिंग, बट मैं छोटा सा एक बस बता देती हूँ इसमें। अगर पर्सन IMS फॉलो करता है ना, तो उसका रिक्लेम नहीं आता। क्यों? अरे वो साड़ी नहीं पहुंची मेरे तक, मैं तो उसका ITC पेंडिंग छोड़ दूंगी ना। जब मैं पेंडिंग छोड़ूंगी तो वो मेरे 3B में ऑटो पॉपुलेट ही नहीं होगा। जब वो मेरा ऑटो पॉपुलेट ही नहीं होगा, सो एज अ रिजल्ट मुझे उसको रिक्लेम की भी जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी। जैसे इस एग्जांपल में मेरा मार्च 25 में आया जरूर बिल, बट मुझे अप्रैल 25 में साड़ी रिसीव हुई, राइट? तो मैं उसको लूंगी ही पहली बार अप्रैल 25 में। अब अगर लिया ही पहली बार अप्रैल 25 में, तो रिक्लेम में तो आएगा नहीं, ऊपर के सारे कॉलम 0 हैं। क्या करूं? 8C में दिखाऊंगी, सर पहली बार लिया ही अगले साल है, 8C में दिखाऊंगी और टेबल 13 में दिखाऊंगी। अब जो पर्सन डीम्ड एक्सेप्टेंस कर लेता है IMS की, उसको तो भाई ऑटो पॉपुलेट हो जाएगा। ऑटो पॉपुलेट हो जाएगा तो वो इसको रिक्लेम में वो इसको जब उसका 50,000 ऑटो पॉपुलेट हो गया, तो देन ही, क्योंकि ये सेम ईयर का एग्जांपल है, सो देन उसको he has to show reclaim next year है, बट बिकॉज उसका ऑटो पॉपुलेट हो गया तो पहली बार इस 6B में दिखाएगा और 50,000 रिवर्सल में दिखाएगा। अगली बार रिक्लेम करेगा तो टेबल नंबर 13 में जाएगा, 8C में नहीं जाएगा। देखिए सेम थिंग IMS वाले के लिए सिर्फ फिगर टेबल नंबर 8C और 13 में आई। जो IMS का डीम्ड एक्सेप्टेंस करते हैं, क्योंकि उनका ऑटो पॉपुलेट हो चुका होता है, तो वो पहले आप लेते हैं, रिवर्स करते हैं, लेते हैं हम, रिवर्स करते हैं एंड देन अगले साल लेते हैं, तो वो टेबल नंबर 6B, टेबल नंबर 7J एंड टेबल नंबर 13 में आएगा, 8C में नहीं आएगा। जो लोग ग्रॉस बेसिस पे चलते हैं, लिया, रिवर्स किया एंड देन शो, उनके लिए ये कॉलम्स इस तरह से भरे जाएंगे, रिवर्सल में जाएगा एंड अदरवाइज। जिन लोगों ने नेट मॉड फॉलो किया, उन लोगों का तो ऑटो पॉपुलेशन ही 550 होना है। सी 6 लाख माइनस 50,000 नहीं होना, वो जब उनके लिए 8C भरा जाएगा जब वो अगले साल लेंगे। सो यू नीड टू चेक आपने अपनी 3Bs कैसे भरी होंगी। In this PPT, I have considered all the gross and the net mode and IMS. कुछ पॉइंटर्स और बताती हूँ, ये सारे वही केसेस हैं, अंकित कुमार अग्रवाल, शानमुगा हार्डवेयर, which let us know the importance of GSTR-9 correct filing while adjudications. Moreover, in this PPT, I have given the columns that are mandatory and that are optional, या वो auto mode में है, so a quick go through you can make through it. Furthermore, some pointers, पहले सारी रिटर्न्स भरी हो तो ही वो ऑटो पॉपुलेट करेगा, इवन अगर आपके नंबर सरेंडर हुए हैं और लिमिट से एक्सीडेड है, देन इन दैट केस आपको GSTR-9 भरनी है। अगर आपकी मल्टीपल ब्रांचेस हैं, देन इन दैट केस आपको एक भी ब्रांच, अगर आपकी ओवरऑल एग्रीगेट टर्नओवर एक्सीड होती है कर्नाटका, no, we take it to be Kolkata, Punjab, and Mumbai. Let's suppose Kolkata has 4.5 turnover, Punjab has 0 turnover, or Mumbai has 1 turnover, 1 crore. Then you are supposed to file 39 and 39C, even for Punjab, which is under 0. Right? So for every branch, and even composition के लिए फॉर्म 9A है, बट 2 करोड़ से ऊपर तो मैंडेटरी है, 2 करोड़ से नीचे तो फाइल ही नहीं करना है, तो वाई 9A? अगर आपने स्विच ओवर किए हैं और आपकी टर्नओवर एक्सीडेड है कॉम्पोजिशन टू नॉर्मल, सो प्लीज फाइल 9A एज वेल एज 9. आई ऑलवेज कंसिडर कि मुझे एक बंच चाहिए जिसमें मेरी कुछ चीजें होनी चाहिए और मैं उसको चेक कर सकूं. And I'm showing you my Excel sheet, how I take a bird's eye view. After this, I will just move to 2 queries which are there in the chat box. Friends, this is the Excel. ये कोई rocket science नहीं है. जिस तरह से I can understand the things, I have made it. Formulas are embedded in this sheet. मैंने एक साइड पे आउटपुट रखा है, एक साइड पर इनपुट रखा है. आउटपुट के केस में 3 डॉक्यूमेंट्स इंपॉर्टेंट हैं. 3B, 1. I hope so it is visible, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
1 and actual liability as per 2.6. देखिए मैंने 3 कलर्स दिए हैं, राइट? सो अब नीचे उनके डिफरेंसेस निकलते हैं. उसमें से आपने कितने मार्च के बाद करेक्ट कर दिए और कितने अभी भी एडजस्ट होने, जिनका या तो पेबल बनेगा या रिफंड निकलेगा. Likewise, I have made it for ITC also. जो लोग पुरानी शीट यूज कर रहे हैं, लेट मी टेल यू, द शीट फॉर दिस ईयर हैज बीन रिवाइज्ड और इसमें वो सारे कॉलम 6A1, 6H का इंपैक्ट है. इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट विच आई वांट टू हाईलाइट हियर इज 6A1 में ग्रॉस फिगर जाएगी, यानी टेबल नंबर 13 जाएगा ओनली. क्या कहना चाहती हूँ? अरे 6A1 का मतलब है पिछले साल के इंपैक्ट माइनस करना है. लेट्स सपोज हमने पिछले साल का आईटीसी लिया है 100 और रिवर्स किया 20, तो इसमें 80 नहीं डालना है. 80 नहीं डालना है. अगर आप करेक्टली रिटर्न फाइल करते हो ग्रॉस नोट पे तो 100 डालना है, टेबल नंबर 13, क्योंकि टेबल 6 रिवर्सल्स को कंसिडर नहीं करता है. तो 6A1 में भी सिर्फ टेबल नंबर 13 आए. अगर आप नेट मोड पे चलते हो तो फिर तो आपने नेट करके 80 लिया होगा, फिर आपको वो दिखाना पड़ेगा. इन केसेस में मैं 8A, बुक्स, रिवर्सल, इसमें जब नीचे डिफरेंसेस निकलेंगे ना, रिवर्सल की वजह से डिफरेंस है, इंटरहेड की वजह से डिफरेंस है, एग्जेम्प्ट सेल की वजह से डिफरेंस है, 37A की वजह से डिफरेंस है, वो सारे डिफरेंसेस मेरे सामने एक ही शीट पर आ जाते हैं. आरसीएम की वजह से डिफरेंस है. सो आई गेट अ बर्ड आई व्यू कि अच्छा एक हेड का दूसरे हेड से शायद एडजस्टमेंट हुआ है, बिकॉज इसमें एग्जेम्प्ट, टैक्सेबल सारे बाइफिकेशंस है. एंड आई ऑलवेज डू द बैलेंस मैचिंग, बिगिनिंग, ओपनिंग एंड क्लोजिंग. इनमें जो ड्यूरिंग द ईयर का डिफरेंस होगा वही मेरी इस शीट में आउटपुट और इनपुट का नेट करके डिफरेंस निकलना चाहिए. सो it gives you a little hand on that how you can discuss that, right? Sir, I am just letting the viewers know that the PPT में लास्ट ईयर तक भी जो हम आउटपुट के केस लॉस डिस्कस करते थे, कौन से पॉइंटर्स चेक करने चाहिए, क्या लेट फीस कैसे कैलकुलेट होंगी, अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट टर्नओवर कैसे कैलकुलेट होगी, और ई कॉमर्स की टर्नओवर ऐड होगी नहीं होगी, ऑल दोज पॉइंटर्स आर द पार्ट ऑफ पीपीटी अलोंग विद आपका की टेबल 8, ये जो आउटपुट का टेबल है उसमें स्पिल ओवर इफेक्ट्स, क्योंकि वो लास्ट ईयर के सेम रहे हैं, उसकी पूरी एग्जांपल्स इसमें एम्बेडेड है. सी this complete, but I have taken the changes, so I am not discussing those changes. जो मतलब जो ओल्ड पीपीटी है, जो पुरानी स्लाइड्स हैं, जो टर्नओवर के इफेक्ट्स हैं, that is already the part of PPT which you can refer. Now I move on to the section. Vaibhav ji, don't worry, PPT, Excel, everything will be shared. Now I come to Swati ji's question. For the year 24-25, while doing amendment of March 25 and October 25, okay, मतलब आपने post March amendment किया है. I have taken excess B2B credit. Now, how to give its impact in 9 and 9C? आप इसका मतलब स्वाति जी, आप अपना रिवर्सल करना चाहती हैं, मतलब आपको वो ज्यादा आईटीसी पे बैक करना है थ्रू योर GSTR-9. वैसे तो टेबल 7 रिवर्सल में वही रिवर्सल्स आते हैं जो 3B में गए हों, बट अगर आप एक्सेस रिवर्सल करना चाहती हैं, सो इन माय केसेस मैंने उसको टेबल 7 में बढ़ा दिया है और उतने का मैंने DRC 03 पे किया है. दिस इज द मैकेनिज्म दैट आई हैव फॉलोड विदाउट डिस्टर्बिंग माय आउटपुट. Without disturbing my output. All right. Deepak ji's question. Will figures reported in table 13 of GSTR-9 be different from 12C of 9C? 9C, वैसे तो sir will be taking. टेबल 13 में जो फिगर आएगी इस साल के इम्पैक्ट जो अगले साल जाएंगे, दैट शुड मैच विद योर टेबल 12C. अगर कुछ अगले साल रिवर्सल्स किए हैं, आई नीड टू चेक. आई थिंक सो यश दादा जी विल बी द बेस्ट पर्सन टू आंसर दिस क्वेश्चन. मुझे 9C का वो कॉलम आई एम नॉट रिकॉलिंग राइट नाउ. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, चेतन गांधी जी, फॉर्म 9 is filled from GSTR-1 filed and 3B and books is not matching. At the beginning, Chetan ji, I answered this question. You can amend the columns. आपको अपनी actual liabilities दिखानी है, आप auto populated figures को change कर सकते हैं, right? Whether interest, अच्छा, interest वाली query I am taking. Bhavuk ji, that depends upon the organizers. I request organizers to please look into the query of Bhavuk ji. Meanwhile, Devesh ji, I just take your query. Interest. Friends, interest बहुत तरह का होता है. First, interest from debtors. Devesh ji, that is taxable. That is a taxable interest, right? Now, if I say कि वो taxable है, तो वो very much part of turnover है. Second, interest from unsecured loan. That is an exempt income. Exempt तो है, but exempt is also the part of turnover, aggregate turnover. So उसके बाद tax पे नहीं होता, but वो मेरे 2 clause 6 की limit को impact करते हैं exempt supply. Third interest is interest of what you say, the interest due to FDRs. अगर sole proprietor का number है, the FDRs made, the interest coming from those FDR is not in the course or furtherance of business. तो मैं उसको सप्लाई ही कंसिडर नहीं करूंगी. एज अ रिजल्ट वो मेरी लिमिट को भी, टर्नओवर को भी इंपैक्ट नहीं करेगा जब वो सप्लाई नहीं. लेकिन अगर आपने कोई ऐसी एफडीआर है जो बिजनेस के लिए दी हुई है, मतलब कॉन्ट्रैक्ट लेने के लिए जरूरी है, सिक्योरिटी की फॉर्म में दी हुई है, उसके ऊपर आने वाला इंटरेस्ट जो है, दैट इज द पार्ट ऑफ योर in the course or furtherance of business. So that again will remain an exempt supply, but will be a supply, hence will be counted for the calculation of turnover. इंटरेस्ट की 2 एक्सेप्शंस हमारे लॉ में मिलती हैं जहां एग्जम्प्ट इनकम होने से वो डिस्टॉर्ट नहीं करता. दैट इज 23, एक्सक्लूसिव सप्लायर ऑफ गुड्स. उसमें अगर इंटरेस्ट इनकम होगी उसको काउंट नहीं करेंगे, मतलब वो एक्सक्लूसिव सप्लायर ऑफ गुड्स माना जाएगा. सेकंड, कॉम्पोजिशन के केस में जो इंटरेस्ट इनकम आएगी, कॉम्पोजिशन के केस में जो इंटरेस्ट इनकम आएगी, दैट विल बी नॉट कंसिडर्ड कि वो सब सर्विसेज रिसीव कर रहा है. सो अल्टीमेटली इंटरेस्ट को मैंने 3 पार्ट्स में बांट दिया: टैक्सेबल, नॉट अ सप्लाई और अ एग्जेम्प्ट सप्लाई. So तीनों का bifurcation I have given, right? Sir, 5O column जो है, आपने 9C की बात की है. So 9C, yes sir is taking. अच्छा, एक जो query थी, that was जो आपने कहा था कि क्या वो टेबल उससे मैच करेगा, और एक ही क्वेरी सेम उसमें 12B पे भी है. सो आई एम टेकिंग यू टू द सेम स्लाइड. जस्ट गिव मी अ व्हाइल.
Subham, something Subham, it just,
सॉरी
yes, ma'am.
सॉरी सर.
एक क्वेरी है 12 शुभम वैष्णव की.
सर शुभम वैष्णव जी की जो क्वेरी, आई एम मूविंग फॉर द सेम. आई एम जस्ट ओपनिंग द स्लाइड राइट इन फ्रंट, और वही मैं लेने जा रही हूँ. लेट मी शो यू द स्लाइड जो हमने this one. This is the linkage, right? अब हमने कहा था ITC booked in current financial year to be claimed in the subsequent. एक अभी query आई थी 12C को लेकर. ITC booked in current financial year to be claimed in, this will be table 13 of GSTR-9. Somebody who asked the question. Next, Shubham ji, आपने जो क्वेरी पूछी थी, just to avoid difference in table number 12 of 9C, is it correct to disclose the figure in 12B? सर, अगर आप 12B में दिखाएंगे ना, तो डिफरेंस जो है वो आएगा. क्यों, मैं बता देती हूँ. ये जो 9 का कॉलम 7J होगा ना, ये वाला, इसमें अब लास्ट ईयर के इंपैक्ट्स नहीं है टेबल 7 में. सो जब आप यहाँ 12B में डालेंगे तो वो यहाँ डिफरेंस रिजल्ट करेगा, राइट? सो लेट मी रीड द क्वेरी. Is it correct to not disclose? Yes, this is what I'm saying. Not disclose the figure in 12B. I think instructions are different, then we should follow instruction for both 9 and 9C. If we are following instruction for 9, then 12B. Is it not? Again, यू आर राइट शुभम जी, मैंने ये किया है. मैं यहाँ डिफरेंस ओरिजिनेट नहीं होने दे रही, ऑल्दो उसकी वजह से 14 में डिफरेंस आता है. मैंने यहाँ पे नहीं डाला, जिसकी वजह से यहाँ डिफरेंस नहीं आया. मैंने नीचे नोट फिर भी दे दिया, क्योंकि 6 से 1 में वो वाइप आउट हो गए हैं, इसलिए मैंने यहाँ नहीं डाला. इफ यू पुट हियर एज पर द इंस्ट्रक्शन, लेट द डिफरेंस कम हियर, आप तब भी नीचे नोट दे सकते हैं. सो 12 और 14 दोनों में से एक में डिफरेंस पॉपअप होता है. एंड आई रिक्वेस्ट इफ यस सर इज देयर, सो इफ ही वांट्स टू ऐड समथिंग, सो ही कैन. मोस्ट वेलकम सर. So this is my opinion. I am not putting in 12B sometimes. I am not letting the difference come. In some cases, I feel कि okay, let it come here. 14 में difference नहीं चाहिए. So I give a note there and put the figure in 12B. Sir, next query is
From
if ITC of 1 second. Once again, Chetan ji, madam, in table 12 of 9C, there is differences coming. What is the reason? I'm not able to understand. Chetan ji, you send the screenshot to me. We can discuss that. जो भी आपको उसमें आपकी particular query आ रही है, that we will see. Right?
so
DRC03 filed due to loss of stock by fire during the financial year 24-25. Okay, Pankaj ji, to the extent I could understand your query, आपका loss of stock by fire हुआ है. क्योंकि आपका loss of stock by fire होगा तो आपने ITC रिवर्स किया होगा. और आपका कहने का मतलब है कि वो ITC जो रिवर्स किया है वो मैंने 3B में नहीं किया, और मैंने वो DRC03 के थ्रू रिपोर्ट किया है. Although table 7 instruction says, और I am assuming कि 9C आप नहीं भर रहे हैं, although वो आपने टेबल नंबर आपने 3B में वो नहीं दिखाया है, टेबल 7 3B के रिवर्सल्स की बात करता है, बट स्टिल आई विल शो इट इन टेबल 7. उस अमाउंट के लिए मेरा DRC03 सेपरेटली होगा. सो आई एम फॉलोइंग दिस पॉइंट, जो मैंने पहले भी किसी और पॉइंट पे एक्सप्लेन किया था. वैभव जी सेड फॉर मल्टीपल स्टेट वाइज GSTR-9C, although the query belongs to sir, but Vaibhav ji, I put only the figure of that branch only. I do not remove it in 5O. I fill it in the only the state figure in the first column rather than removing it in 5O. And this is what the instructions say. Rest, it's
Uh,
yes, all. I think so, sir. Queries are covered
yes,
from the box.
yes. Most of the queries has covered, ma'am, in the chat box actually. So now no queries left here.
One
So
sir, भावुक जी, sorry, I'm just interrupting because उन्होंने काउंटर किया है. भावुक जी, मैं इनपुट की वजह से आउटपुट को डिस्टर्ब नहीं कर रही हूँ. अगर आप चाहते हैं कि टेबल 9 में आप उसको ऐड करके डीआरसी का दें तो यू कैन डू सो, राइट, बट आई शो द इनपुट रिवर्सल. ओवर टू यू
so
सर.
यस मैम. सो एक्चुअली मैम इसमें ये जो 12B का है पोजीशन, एक्चुअली इसमें अमेंडमेंट इज रिक्वायर्ड फॉर द 9C. उन्होंने 6A1 तो कर दिया, लेकिन 12B को छोड़ दिया, भूल गए उन लोग. तो उसको
एग्जैक्ट.
वो दैट इज बिकॉज व्हाई इन द एफएक्यू इटसेल्फ दे आर सेइंग आप डिफरेंस आएगा, डिफरेंस का रीजन दो, बट आप उसको करना भूल चुके हैं. तो आई थिंक दिस चेंजेस शुड बी मेड एक्चुअली मैम. So I really thanks to the आंचल मैम. उन्होंने टेबुलेशन फॉर्मेट में एफएक्यू को ऐसे कन्वर्ट किया कि उसको कोई भी एक लेमैन भी पढ़ेगा ना तो दे कैन अंडरस्टैंड एक्चुअली. ब्यूटीफुल प्रेजेंटेशंस इन द ऑल द टेबल्स एंड ऑल द एनेक्सर्स, स्पेशली आईटीसी पार्ट में बहुत ज्यादा चेंजेस है. 6A1 का लाया उन्होंने. सी कोटेड जो प्रॉब्लम हो रही थी लिटिगेशन में हम लोग जो फेस कर रहे थे, आफ्टर पुटिंग 6A1 इट विल बी वेरी वेरी हेल्पफुल टू अस, especially explain to the officers actually so that they can understand. और सबसे वाला बर्निंग इशू था 8A. now the 8A also to the some extent we have relief as a chartered accountants और एज ए टैक्स पेयर्स कि चलो 8A को अब ठीक कर दिया. लेकिन मैडम हैज कोटेड वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट्स. 8A ऑनलाइन और 8A ऑफलाइन में डिफरेंस है. होता क्या है, वी रिकंसाइल फ्रॉम द एक्सेल कॉपी, बट 8A ऑनलाइन में फिगर अलग है. फर्स्ट 8A ऑनलाइन को और 8A एक्सेल को टैली कर लीजिए, देन यू मेक द रिकंसिलिएशन. इट विल बी हेल्पफुल टू यू क्योंकि 8D में जो डिफरेंस आ रहा है वहां पर और यहाँ 8A 2B का रिकंसिलिएशन दोनों टैली करेगा. करेक्ट, दैट इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. सो ब्यूटीफुल प्रेजेंटेशन बाय द मैम एंड ब्यूटीफुल डेलिब्रेशंस एंड आस्क ऑल द क्वेरीज. और मैंने देखा बहुत सारी पीपीटी में तो क्वेरी डीम्ड सॉल्व हो रही. तो दैट कल जैसे डीम्ड एक्सेप्टेंस होता है ना आईएमएस में, उसी तरह डीम्ड रिजॉल्व ऑफ द क्वेरीज. So once again, I thank you, ma'am, on the behalf of the ACA for wonderful deliberations. हम लोग आपको याद करते रहेंगे. Thank you for giving the time. Thank you very much for the nice sessions. Thank you, ma'am.
एंड यस सर, आपसे मेरा जयपुर में मिलना नहीं हो पाया, बट एसीए ने हमें वर्चुअली इस प्लेटफॉर्म पे दे हैव मेड अस मीट. So it's so
Absolutely.
good to share virtual dice with you on ACAE platform.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
Yes.
whatever I have left, so you are the authority to cover the same. And friends, जिनकी query अभी post हुई है 9 से related है, you can WhatsApp me those queries. I will revert on the same. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So, thank you, ma'am, and I really welcome. Yes, जी, अमृतसर हो गया, अब जयपुर आए हैं, तो I really welcome our renowned speakers. Yes, जी, जो 9C के ऊपर deliberations है, तो I will hand over to Rohit for the introductions and move forward.
Okay, thank you, our Chairperson of Indirect Tax Committee, C. Anup Kumar Loharka, sir. I welcome you, Mr. C.A. Yash Dhadda, sir, for taking the time and efforts for our AC to deliberate on GSTR-9C for a virtual discussion. So before anything, I would just start with the profile of our esteemed speaker for the session, Mr. Yash Dhadda, and I'll just Okay, so Yash Dhadda is a fellow member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. He is associated with MSS Yash Dhadda and Company as partner of indirect taxes. He has having a working experience of 12 years in the field of indirect taxes with concentration only on GST, service tax and excise matters. And he was also a special invitee of Indirect Tax Committee of ICI for 3 years. He is also on the panel of CII Rajasthan as GST Service Tax Excise Advisor for industry members. So, Yash Dhadda is a commerce graduate from Commerce College, Rajasthan University, Jaipur, and certification holder for indirect tax courses conducted by ICI. So, sir, before starting the session, I would just present you our e-memento. So that's an e-memento from our end, from ACN to you for this virtual interactive session.
Thank you so much.
So now I would request you to take the session on GSTR-9C and take the session forward, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Rohit for kind words. Respected Anup ji and in absentia Tarun ji and all the participants from ACA. At the outset, first of all, I would like to thank the organization for giving me this opportunity to be amongst all of you. And the best part in taking any 9-9C session is that as a speaker, you get to learn, because the point is all of us are so involved and so engrossed in compliance of GSTR-9 and 9C that as a speaker, there is hardly anything new which you can bring out. It is just that you can compile things, bring them together in front of members so that then members can point out specific issues and then you get enriched. So thank you so much for this opportunity. I was listening to Aanchal and that's why I joined 30 minutes in advance, because I wanted to understand that the topics which she was covering. And Anupji was absolutely right in saying this, that she took the most difficult part of this year's GSTR-9 compliance, that table 6, reclaim, reversal, the disclosure in 8C, disclosure in table 13, and she also explained how it has impact in GSTR-9C. So, and she has a unique way of basically presenting all of this in a very colorful and a very interesting manner. And I read in one of the comments also, one participant really appreciated this, that how have you done this? So it makes my job very easy, because what I am going to take is GSTR-9C. And frankly speaking, there are not many changes in GSTR-9C as compared to GSTR-9. So I would try and speak lesser. Though I'm allotted 1 hour time to basically deliberate upon GSTR-9C, but my endeavor would be that I speak less and we take up as many queries as we can, so that it becomes a fruitful session. It becomes a session where, because all of us have been doing this compliance in last 7 years, so so we can take up new issues, specifically the issues which are coming up because of the disclosure changes in GSTR-9. What is the implication in GSTR-9C and what needs to be done? But before we do that, a quick recap as to what we are doing in GSTR-9C, what are those common pain points which all of us have, and what are the possible disclosures which we can really do. As we all know that annual return is GSTR-9, and that's typically the summation of whatever monthly returns which all of us have filed. We are putting those numbers on an annualized basis in GSTR-9. That's where an only possible return in this whole GST compliance hemisphere, where we are able to show the spillover effect of whatever transactions which pertains to that particular financial year, whatever we have paid in that year, or maybe we have paid in next year, or in case I paid something extra in this year, then how am I going to adjust that in the subsequent years? Now, when we compare that with GSTR-9C, the initial thought which government had is because accounting and GST is getting married, and that's where, because some of the accounting concepts which we follow may not be completely aligned with the concept which we have in GST. It may not be completely aligned with the levy provisions which we have in section 9, or the scope of supply which is given in section 7. So that's where they thought a professional like a chartered accountant or a cost accountant should step in and explain the kind of differences which can possibly be there because of the accounting concepts that are being followed, vis-a-vis the compliances which we do on a monthly basis. But to the best of the understanding of the government and their own wisdom, they thought of doing away with the chartered accountant certification in 2019. And that's where GSTR-9C, though it still remained a reconciliation statement, it remained a self-certified reconciliation statement where the taxpayer himself is now doing that reconciliation. Now, before we move further, there is this one question which always comes up, and specifically if you are quite active on social media, there you would find a lot of places where somebody would be saying that we put so much of effort in basically filing GSTR-9, doing a reconciliation in GSTR-9C, but when notices comes up, At that point of time, they kind of ignore the numbers which we are punching in 9 and 9C, and they go back and fall back to GSTR-3B and GSTR-1, and they say, because if there is a mismatch between your 1 and 3B, we would not consider what you have done in your 9 and 9C. And hence, accordingly, we are proposing to go forward, and we are proposing to proceed on the basis of the numbers which we have on a monthly return, and they want to issue a notice of follow an adjudication. That's where, if you would look at specifically in last year and year and a half, there have been a lot of judgments which they have given weight to GSTR 9 and 9C. And that's where, though all of us are doing compliance, I thought probably this slide, though two of these judgments were referred by Aanchal ji also in her slide, but all of this kind of puts our faith back into this, that the compliance which we are doing is not a futile compliance. No doubt it is coming from the statutory provisions of the law, but even beyond that also, at higher forums, this compliance, which we call it as a self compliance which we are doing, is getting noticed. And if ignoring this, any assessment is being done, any demand is being proposed, then courts are taking a view by saying it is violation of principles of natural justice. In fact, all of you would know that you have judgment from Calcutta High Court only, where in one of the judgments they have said that even if, let's say, not claim credit in GSTR 3B, but you have disclosed that in GSTR 9 and you have proper documents and that credit is coming in GSTR 2A, then the benefit of that input tax credit should be given to the taxpayer. Though how it will happen, how it will go to electronic credit ledger through GSTR 9, those questions have not been answered by High Court, but at least High Court has laid down the principle by saying that even when we are saying that GSTR 9 is a return, and if any taxpayer has committed a mistake while doing a monthly compliance, then annual return should be taken as a base where he should be allowed to make those rectifications, or whatever excess tax is paid or maybe short credit is being claimed. In fact, you will look at the last judgment, that is this Pioneer Cooperative Car Parking Services, which came again from Calcutta. That's where they said it's an annual reconciliation where you can rectify your GSTR 3B. And if in case any authority is issuing an order which says because your figures of GSTR 9 and GSTR 3B are not matching, that cannot be the basis for the authority to reject the claim of a taxpayer. And this again reconfirms the faith in the compliance which all of us are doing. So I just took this 1.5 minute to explain this to you. So to that whatever compliance we are doing, it's quite important. Though at a lower level, at times we feel that this matching concept has a problem, but at a higher forum, and now specifically GST tribunals coming into place, and subsequently now when they'll be hearing the matters, your 99C compliance will definitely get noticed. No change in terms of compliances, in terms of that monetary limits. All of us know that if you have an aggregate turnover of less than 5 crore rupees, then GSTR-9C, you are not required to file it. Though portal allows you to file it, we treat this as optional. But if you look at the legal provisions would tell you that you're not required to file GSTR-9C at all. What is suggested? The suggestion is always there that if in case you really want to explain any sort of a mismatch which is there and you want to bring this on record, then there is no harm filing your GSTR-9C, and if system is permitting you to do so, but otherwise statutorily you're not required to do that. If your turnover is less than 5 crore rupees, if your turnover is more than 2 crore rupees, then all of us know that GSTR-9 filing is mandatory. So your 9 is dependent on the aggregate turnover of 2 crore rupees, and 9C is dependent on aggregate turnover of beyond 5 crore rupees. Now, when we come to 9C, all of us know that it has 5 parts. First part being only basic information. Part 2, 3, and 4 are the important parts. Fifth, though it says now it is not auditor's recommendation, it is only the if any additional tax liability taxpayer wants to disclose, that comes in part 5. But part 2 is turnover reconciliation. Part 3 is tax paid reconciliation, be it as an output tax or under reverse charge. And part 4 is input tax credit reconciliation. The difference is that the part 4 reconciliation, that is ITC reconciliation, it is always on a gross basis. You're not reconciling CGST, ITC, SGST, ITC, and IGST, ITC separately, but you are reconciling total input tax credit, which is given under section 264 read with section 2 bracket 63 by saying what is input tax and input tax credit. So total credit which is there in your books of account vis-a-vis the credit which is there in your annual return. Coming from your monthly returns, we reconcile that. But at the output side of it, when we reconcile taxes, specifically in part 3 of GSTR-9C, there that reconciliation is on a differential basis of CGST, SGST, and IGST. Okay. Table numbers, I am really not going into table numbers because I'm sure all of us are aware about it. We'll straight away jump to the specific issues which are there. This year, do we have any relaxations like the relaxations we had in the earlier year? The answer is yes. Those relaxations which were applicable for previous years GSTR-9C compliances, they continue to remain here, meaning thereby in table 5 where I'm doing my turnover reconciliation, 5B to 5N remains optional to me. If I do not want to punch numbers while doing my turnover reconciliation into specific reasons which are mentioned in 5B to 5N, I can take a call and put all those numbers on a consolidated basis on 5O. However, the experience says that once you have numbers in table 5O, then automatically the tax officer is inclined to inquire about it, and that becomes a trigger point for them to basically issue ASMT 10 or scrutiny notices to you. So the effective or a better compliance would always be that if you're doing a turnover reconciliation in 9C and you have numbers which if arising from your books of account or returns where you can put them into appropriate tables from 5B to 5N, you should always make an endeavor to do that. If not, then the notification permits you to put a consolidated reconciliation number in table 5O. Similarly, we have table number 14 where we are supposed to put the expense-wise input tax credit taken and its reconciliation with ITC, which is appearing in your annual return. There, in that case also, it has been optional. It continues to remain optional even after 8 years of compliance of GSTR-9C. Though Anoopji was referring to table 12, he said that government has made an error in basically not making a change in table 12B, to which I agree. But then this question comes up, if you really want to keep any table as optional after 8 years in the 8th year of the compliance, then in that case, clearly that means either that table is something which is not very well appreciated or very well received, or there is error in the table that should have been rectified. But having said that, on the ground, that table 14 is optional and table 5B to 5N are optional in GSTR-9C. We have three new line items in GSTR-9C which are relevant. This year, they were not there in the earlier years, but it is now there in this year, 7D1, 9K2 and table 17. 7D1 is basically in taxable turnover reconciliation, where we are saying out of the total turnover reconciliation, what we have done, tax which is being paid by electronic commerce operator under 9.5, we are reducing that. Earlier, that was not there. And then similarly in 9K, in tax reconciliation, we are taking out that particular tax amount. Table 17 this year is a new table, that is late fees, which for the first time is being applicable on GSTR-9C. That is coming into picture, where in table 17 that will be an auto computed table from the system, where there is delay in filing of GSTR-9C, then system would compute that particular late fees and system will throw it upon us, which was not there up till now. So these are comparative changes if you would compare from the previous years. Whenever I talk about 9C, I always bring up this slide. I say this, that up till 2021, when the notification or basically the provision required us that the reconciliation 9C should be certified by a chartered accountant, the language of the verification part of GSTR 9C was different from the language of the verification part which we have with effect from August 2021, where up till that time, chartered accountant was saying the details are true and correct to the best of my knowledge and belief. So that true and correct disclosure which was there or certification was there was subject to the subject to the caveat from the professional by saying that caveat is on the basis of the information which has been made available to me. Vis-a-vis when you go to now that when it becomes a self-certified reconciliation statement, that caveat is gone, and that's where the taxpayer is now required to take complete responsibility, is to say that whatever has been disclosed in GSTR 9C is true and correct. What is the implication of it? The implication of that effectively means is that whatever numbers are being disclosed in GSTR 9C now by the taxpayer, technically for the purpose of compliance and technically for the purpose of understanding the intention of the taxpayer at the time of assessment or at the time of adjudication, this becomes that every number the taxpayer is certain about as to what is the source of it and from where they are punching it. So that's the difference in terms of the scope and responsibility which is there in GSTR 9C ever since it has become a self-certified state. Now we jump to table number 5. Table number 5 is basically where we do a turnover reconciliation in GSTR 9C. When we do a turnover reconciliation in GSTR 9C, there in that case, the initial point for is always we are saying the turnover which is as per my audited financial statements, and from there I am reaching out to an annual turnover after adjustment, that is after making all the adjustments, and then finally I'm reaching out to a turnover which has been declared in my annual return, and that turnover is effectively whatever is coming after my adjustment of table of 5n plus table 10 minus table 11, whatever is there, I'm comparing that. So the first question which generally comes up when we say that when I am starting, what should I take as my turnover? Should this be my total of credit side? Should this be my revenue from operations? Or should this be my all the things which are there in my audited books of account on which there is a possible exposure of a GST, and should I include all of those things? Well, there is no clear guidelines from government in this side as to what government wants us to pick here, and all of us have developed our own thought process behind it. My thought process says that when you are picking first number for GSTR 9C to start, that number should be a number which is quite apparent on the face of your audited financial statements. And effectively, what it means, your revenue from operation numbers is that number which is quite evident, very clear, and nobody has to basically make an effort to look at that number when they're looking at your audited financial statements. So that technically 5A should be that number. One can take a view by saying, why can't I take my other income along with my revenue from operations and put a total of it here? Well, there is nothing wrong in doing this. But because consistently, if one has taken a view by saying that I would follow either revenue from operations or maybe a total of both of them, there is nothing wrong in doing any of those two things. But where does the problem arises? Well, the problem arises where you have a client which has a multi-state presence. And once you have a multi-state presence, then obviously what turnover you should pick, that becomes a question of dispute, or maybe where a point of contention changes there. Well, if you look at FAQ, it says that then on the basis of the trial balance, you pick up that number. And that's where if effectively it is trying to say is their audited financial statements. From your audited financial statements, draw financial statements basis that particular GST and wise financial statement, and from there pick a number which is going into your revenue from operations. Now it is easier said than done. Why? Because if let's say you have an accounting software which is designed in such a manner that you have GSTN wise financial statements, which may not be audited GSTN wise, but you have GSTN wise or financial statements, then maybe this becomes comparatively easier. But if your client is little bigger in size and they have the biggest of the ERPs of the world, be it SAP or Oracle or anything of that sort, then you really can't dictate that SAP or Oracle in a manner that you tell them that you give me on the basis of GST and wise. Then they have a concept called business place, they have a concept called profit center, they have a concept called cost center, and that's where the terminology changes. And this brings us to that point by saying what becomes a most important document. So most important document becomes my trial balance. And over the years, you would have seen where your client has a multi-state presence. and let's say an audit by department is being conducted in a particular state, the first question which comes is that what is my turnover of that particular state? If your answer is that I have a consolidated financial statements, you're putting yourself at a risk where you're telling the officer to actually start reconciliation on the basis of a gross turnover on on pan India basis or all GSTN basis, and that can really distort the picture. And that's why it is not in fact only advisable, it is must that your client should have a GSTN wise trial balance in place. System should be capable enough to bring out GSTN wise trial balance, and from that trial balance you should be able to actually pick revenue from operations and to put that into table 5A of GSTR 9C. One can take an argument by saying that is it mandatory under any of the provisions of the law where a tax officer can force me to give a GST invoice to Albanese? Well, if you will read section 35 and rule 56, which is recording for books of account, officer can, there is nothing which is called as GST invoice trial balance which is mentioned there. But if you go to section 71, which talks about access to a business premise, that's where officer can force you to give them a trial balance. Now, mind you, section 31 is not written from a perspective of a person. It is written from a perspective of a registered person. And once it says registered person, effectively that means they're talking about GST and wise trial balance. So on the basis of it, maybe at the time of compliance, somebody can't force you. But at the time of investigation, at the time of audit, at the time of seeking information, they can invoke 71, obviously along with other sections of the law, and they can seek that trial balance there. So it becomes quite comparatively very clear that when you're talking about starting of table 5, it should always, you should have a number on a state GST and wise trial balance there. Now, when I go to 5B, 5C, 5D and things like that, you would see the counter adjustments there. Unbilled revenue at the beginning of the year, unbilled revenue at the end of the year, unadjusted advances at the end of the year, unadjusted advances at the beginning of the year. These are all plus minus things. What is important here? Well, the important part specifically if your client is a contractor and he is an infra contractor, and there the provisions of let's say AS7 are applicable, construction contracts, that's where they are being taught by the accounts team and they are being certified by the stat auditor that you should have an unbilled provision as a matching concept. Now that unbilled provision is not aligned to GST, and that's where that unbilled becomes very crucial, that whatever you're putting as an unbilled, you should be able to have a justification for it, that how are you aligning it with your GSTR turnovers. So that's where role of unbilled as per accounting standards vis-a-vis the nature of work done, and then time of supply read with section 31(5), which is a continuous supply of service, that comes into picture. One of those examples is specifically all those contractors which are into construction of roads. We know that we had a circular last year in respect of hybrid annuity model, where they said that if let's say you are into an hybrid annuity model concept for construction of a road, then your time of supply provisions as per section 31(5). It may have two parts. One is on the basis of whatever milestones you have achieved, and second is on the basis of your regular annuity payments. If you go to your accounting standards would not really make a provision of unbilled on the basis of this. So that's where a suggestion which is always there, that your statutory auditor in books of account, in notes to account, they may put a disclosure regarding unbilled revenue only considering accounting standards. But when you are filing your GSTR-9C and you believe that every year this becomes a point of contention before the tax officer, where he would tell you to reconcile unbilled with the nature of billing done in the next year, that's where a disclosure note should go. So when you are filing your annual return, let's say in the month of December 2025 for financial year 24-25, so your unbilled provision which you have done on 31st of March 2025, you know today what has happened to that unbilled provision. And if in case to that extent complete billing, if that has not happened, then you really go back you go back to the books of you really go back, make a reconciliation of it and attach that with GSTR 9C. Deemed supplies, I think all of us are aware of. I need not explain what is deemed supplies. We'll come to deemed supplies in a while. There is one possibility which generally gets ignored, and that needs to be considered here. Uh, all other things, if let's say any question would come, I would really come into that. But again, I'm saying that I would want more questions would be there rather than me giving a one-way communication from my side. But yes, I would like to spend some time on table 5O, that is adjustment in turnover due to reasons not listed above. Now, what is the problem in this? Well, the instruction says 5B to 5N not relevant. Okay, not relevant in a sense it is optional. But you have 5O where you are supposed to put all the numbers here. Now, whether I should put everything under 5 or should I put something under unreconciled? That's the question as a thought process which comes up. Well, again, frankly speaking, in either of two cases, if your numbers are either coming, major numbers are coming into unreconciled, your major number is coming into 5O, then either of the two cases, you're bound to get a notice because this is something which is not self-explanatory in nature. Okay. My understanding always is anything which is part of your turnover and for that needs an addition and that needs a reduction from the turnover, that should definitely form part of your 5O. Second, whatever is there in your audited financial in your annual return, or let's say turnover as per your returns, and that should have been part of your revenue, that needs to be included here. Meaning thereby for all those things which are not part of your revenue from operations, but they are part of your audited financial statements, which are part of your annual returns, they should form part of unreconciled turnover. For example, I have other income. Now my other income, technically I did not start my 5A with other income. So that should always be my part of my unreconciled turnover. Few of my adjustments in my revenue from operations, those accounting entries with JV entries which were there and that should not have been included, they should form part of my 5O. They should not go to my unreconciled turnover. One practice which I generally follow, I make it a point that whatever I'm writing in my 5O, I give a disclosure of it in my table number 6 and I explain to that what are those items which are lying in my 5O also. So whatever I'm writing in 5R, a number which is coming in 5R or a number which is coming in 5O, I make it a point that I give a disclosure of that in the subsequent table, that what are the reasons for it. Though I'm only supposed to give a reason for my unreconciled turnover, but because I have no other place in my GSTR-9C where I can explain what is there in 5O, hence I put that into my subsequent return there. Okay. Yeah, I have 3-4 questions. I'll take all of them together in a while from now. There is one concept which comes in, that is there a difference between an outward register or a credit side or a revenue from operations? I think yes, outward register is something which we are extracting from our books of account, which only encompasses my GST transactions. But clearly, total of my outward register which is there in my books of account, that cannot be starting of my table 5A. That's point number one. Point number two, credit side of my P&L account. Well, I would not agree to that point that my complete credit side should come, because then I am telling an officer to actually first make a total of it, what I have included in my 5A. So my answer would always be that I would include my revenue from operations. 5O, that is other adjustments. What it should have, accounting provisions, definitely that would be adjusted here. And for all the things which I cannot explain in my 5O, but I'm punching there, I should put a reason of that in my table number 6. Now, these are some of those items which would definitely come as a difference while I'll be doing it. Like, for example, sale of fixed asset. My books of account would only give a profit or loss. It would not form from my revenue from operation. But whereas if I go to my GST compliances, I will take the gross figure on which I would have paid tax. So this will definitely be part of my unreconciled turnover. Advance against receipt of services, it will not be part of my obviously 5A, but then yes, those advances which are year end pending, that there is any which way column for it that I have to take care of it, is being included there. recovery against the expenses which I'm treating as an outward supply, and I am self-assessing it as an outward supply. Again, this becomes an item which becomes a reconciling item. It will be part of my unreconciled turnover, where my annual return figure would be higher and my books of account figure would be lower. Branch transfer cross charge, that is any which were deemed supply, so I'm taking care of it. Year end JV entries, which are part of my revenue from operations only, they would come in my 5O, otherwise nothing else in this regard should go into 5O. Transaction with merchant export, why we are basically specifically talking about it, so that this becomes an opportunity where I'm ensuring that I have done a compliance of that merchant export, of giving necessary intimation to my tax officers. My exporter who is actually exporting has necessary disclosure of my name in the shipping bill. So this becomes a point where I reconfirm that all those compliances are into place. Similarly, deemed export, though appears to be a regular transaction, but 148 compliance, have I done? And if I have claimed a refund of it, then again, have I made necessary disclosures on my invoices or not? So these last two which I talked about, it may not have a reconciling difference, but for as a point of check, this becomes important when I'm doing my turnover reconciliations. TDR lease FSI, I would come to that when we'll talk about RCM. My audited financial statement notes to account, that give me some idea that when I'm doing my turnover reconciliation, I should not miss these points. And in case I'm missing these points, and if in case I've not disclosed a tax liability here, then I will have to go to my last part where I want to disclose any additional liability. Mind you, all these 5 bullet points which you see, which is coming from my audited financial statements notes to account, if I have not done a GST compliance on this, it will not come in my table 5 reconciliation. It becomes a basis if I want to disclose anything on which I want to pay any additional tax. Like for example, related party transactions. If I have a related party annexure, I have not done a compliance, now I am supposed to do that, then my table 5 is not that place where I would basically punch this part. Transactions without consideration. Similar related party transaction, I am a company and there is a director who has given a property on, let's say, rent to me. And that company, if that is required to pay tax under reverse charge or not, if you're taking that decision, then that decision which you're trying to take here, if any case any liability comes, then it becomes an additional liability. Corporate guarantee, one of the best sources to identify whether there is a liability to pay tax on the corporate guarantee of 1% of the value is your notes to account only. Samples which I'm exporting, do I have to reverse my credit under section 17(5), or do I have to disclose my liability into schedule 1 entry 1? That I have to identify and need to disclose as my additional liability. And similarly, goods lost, stolen, destroyed, written off. All of this is coming from a notes to account which I should read while I'm doing my reconciliation. So these 5 points, while you will be doing your matching and reconciliations, you may not find these numbers, but you'll be able to find these numbers when you read your notes to account. Then we come to table 7. Up till now, I was reconciling my gross turnover. Then when I go to table 7, I'm reconciling my taxable turnover. So basically from a taxable turnover, I'm taking out all those numbers on which do not have a tax implication, like exempted, nil rated, zero rated without tax. Then all those supplies on which my recipient is supposed to pay the tax. And then this year I have 71 additional tab which says, if let's say I'm making supplies through an e-commerce operator, an e-commerce operator is paying tax, like for example a restaurant supplying through Swiggy, Zomato, or any of these platforms, then that number is getting excluded here because I am not paying tax on those supplies. And then I reach to a turnover as per my books of accounts where I'm saying I should have paid tax, and then I compare it with my turnover on which I am actually paying tax in my annual return. And then if there is any difference, I am coming to those differences. Well, generally, I understand if your 7G number is a number where your books of account number is lower and your 7F number is higher, that means you have paid some tax on transactions which were not part of your revenue from operations but were lying at other places of your books of account. But if it is vice versa, where if your 7E number is higher and 7F number is lower, then there appears to be a situation where you are saying your turnover as per books of account on which you should have paid tax was higher, as compared to the turnover which you have disclosed in your GST returns. So either there is some clerical error which I have done in my GST return, or there was some conceptual error which I have done in my GST return. And that's how I understand what is my 7E and 7F difference which is coming here. Okay. Then I come to table number 9, that is my rate-wise liability. Now for this rate-wise liability, it is always suggested that because we are putting rate-wise numbers from my books of account, from where will I pick that? And that's where my outward register and RCM register would come into picture. So up till now, what we do, when we were doing a turnover reconciliation, we were putting it from our audited financial statements, picking a number and then trying to identify plus minuses. But when we are taking up our liability as per books of account, we are trying to actually finding out that my tax liability ledger, which is there in my current liability side, that liability ledger, if I am redrawing it on the basis at a transaction level, then at a transaction level, what I'm trying to draw, this outward register should come into picture. And this outward register should actually be plotted in my table number 9. So if I have this outward register prepared now, it will always help me in departmental audit, in scrutiny assessments, and in otherwise any type of investigation that will take place. Now, similarly, is in respect of RCM liability. Whatever RCM liability is there in my books of account, I'm trying to basically punch all of that in from my table 9A to 9K. There is again one more tab which has been added here regarding that liability of supplies or in respect where the e-commerce operator has to pay tax, but I'm not going into that aspect. That I'm sure we'll be able to figure that out. One check which comes is that the taxable value which we are putting in table number 9, that taxable value in respect of outward side, this should technically match with my value of table number 7, which is your table 7F, that is taxable turnover as per liability declared in annual return. If that taxable value is matching here with 7F, and then I'm trying to putting my tax liabilities rate wise, then in majority of the cases I will not have any tax liability differences. Okay. But if the taxable value is not matching, then it is almost a surety that there is going to be difference in my tax liability as per books of account and tax liability as per my GST returns. So this becomes a checkpoint because there is no total of a taxable value which we do here. Similar concept is applicable in respect of reverse charge mechanism also, where in case of an RCM liability, also your value which I'm putting here as per my books of account should technically match with my 4G number which I'm putting in my annual return. Okay. Okay. Because as I said in starting in table number 9, we are doing reconciliation or headwise reconciliation, CGST, SGST, IGST, and cess. There can be possibilities which may arise where, let's say, I have charged correct tax in the invoice and I've collected correct tax also, but I've paid wrong tax in my returns. Then in that case, the provision says that you can make an adjustment in your subsequent returns up till the month of October 2000 or let's say 30th of November 2025. And then if you have not done that, then the only option which is refund is you pay correct tax and claim a refund of the wrong tax paid. Similarly, if let's say I've charged wrong tax in my invoice, but I've paid correct tax, then in that case, technically that should come as issuance of a correct document to my customer in form of a credit note, debit note, but it would not require any adjustment in my returns. And third is if there is a POS issue which I have done where I was supposed to pay CGST, SGST, and I've paid IGST there, then in that means in document is also wrong, returns are also wrong. Then in that case, that option is I pay correct tax and I claim a refund of wrong tax paid, and I am not required to pay any interest. So this is that table in GSTR-9 where apart from actual differences which are there in my tax liability, I am also able to identify the differences which are interhead differences, either arising from my what I have done in my books vis-a-vis return, or if let's say I've done an error at both my books of account and also at my returns. Okay. Then I quickly come to table number 12. This year, table number 12 though there is no change in table number 12 as Anup ji was explaining and Achal ji were explaining. But because we have many changes in table number 6 of GSTR-9, we have 6A1 coming into picture, we have 6H not going into table number 8. So the dynamics of table number 6 of GSTR-9 have changed comprehensively. Now, because that has changed comprehensively, what happens is, because these tables remain static, there are 2-3 possibilities which would come up. One is, up till now, if let's say I was speaking up till last year, I would be saying that your figures in table 8C, your figures in table number 13 of GSTR-9 should match with table number 12C of GSTR-9C. But I'm afraid this year I would not say that. I will say your figures of table 8C may not match with figures of table 13 of GSTR-9, and it may not match with figures of which are appearing in your table 12C. So don't worry about it. Only follow the concept which now government wants us to basically understand. So with a restrictive focus on GSTR-9C, what basically government is saying is, just like you draw your outward register, draw an ITC register in your books of account at an invoice level of all the ITC which is there in your books of account, minus whatever reversals you have done in your books of account, and whatever net number comes, put that in your table 12A. Okay. When I say books of account, I say this with responsibility that it should not have those cases where I am taking ITC and reversing ITC because I might not have received goods or services, or I might not have received the invoices. The possibility of a reversal which is there in my books of account can be on account of either an exempt supply or a block credit, or a credit where I might not have made payment to the supplier, or where supplier may not have filed GSTR-3B up till September. So these are all those cases where I might have reversed my input tax credit in books of account, or I would have taken input tax credit on the basis of whatever invoices I am basically recording in my books. So that is my 12A. 12B, we already discussed this. One view which was given by Aanchal ji, that you should not punch numbers here, because now your 12B, all the numbers would actually go to your 6A1 of GSTR-9. My understanding would be I will still continue to punch numbers in 12B, and I'll put a note as a unreconciled item, because that's what FAQ tells me. So when I have a support of FAQ, I would really not basically unnecessary customize this, and I would follow what they want me to do. It will give an unreconciled difference, because she was absolutely right in saying this, that those numbers would not match here. Because once it is not part of my GSTR-9, it is not part of my books of account of current year. So obviously this remains an unreconciled item, but I will still put that as a number here. That difference will come in unreconciled turnover, and then I will still put a reason for that. 12C is that number where credit is there in my books of account, but I might have claimed that in my GST returns in the subsequent year. So there can be a case where I might have an input tax credit in my GST returns, which I have claimed and reversed in 24-25, but I've reclaimed in 25-26, because actually those credits were received by me in 25-26 in my books of account. Well, if I have recorded those invoices in my returns in 25-26, then it will not come in my 12C. But if I have recorded those invoices in my books of account in 24-25, then definitely it will come in my 12C. So how have I recorded that in my books of account will determine whether it will form part of my 12C or not. Mind you, this year, table 13 of GSTR-9, it does not only include those invoices which are part of my books of account of 24-25. It also includes those invoices which may be part of my books of account of 25-26, but because I have claimed them and reversed them and reclaimed them subsequently, that's why it is coming in my table 13. So your table 13 and 12C may not match. But while you're putting numbers in your 12C, only focus on one thing: what is there in my books of account in 24-25, and that credit in my GST returns, I've claimed that subsequently in 25-26, only that has to come in my 12C. Then after that, whatever difference comes in, that difference I need to explain. There can be multiple reasons for that. Well, when we draw table 12, what I have seen that the reasons can run into, let's say, 7, 8 line items. But always make it a point that wherever you have claimed excess credit, you report that separately. Wherever you have claimed short credit, you report that separately. Don't club them together, because if you try and club them together, now, because the credit which we claim in our GST returns is at a transaction level or at an invoice level, or effectively matching which we do is we are doing at an invoice level or a transaction level. Whenever a notice would come, it will be very difficult for you to explain that what are you trying to achieve by giving a clubbing of data here. So the advice would always be that whenever you're punching numbers and whenever you come out with a difference where, let's say, you claim 100 rupees of excess credit at one place and 50 rupees of short credit at another place, so technically it's a claim of 50 rupees extra. You may pay 50 rupees at the end of your filing of GSTR-9C, but still as a reason give two separate reasons. If tomorrow department comes and says, no, you should have paid 100 rupees, that you should be able to basically defend in litigation. But if you're going to give a net reason, then you'll have a tough time while you'll be explaining this to the officer at the time where he would ask what are the reasons for unreconciled ITC. If you still want to give a net ITC, let's say you don't agree to this approach, you say, no, I don't want to do this, I want to still give a net ITC, then again a better approach would be you have GSTR-9C attachment, put all those attachments there, and in those attachments you give your necessary reasons there. That attachments are really going to help you in give a proper disclosure there. Okay. Then we go to table 14. Table 14 is optional. You may want to punch the details on a expense level. You don't want to punch numbers on an expense level. Only take care of one thing, that your net ITC figure as per books of account, please mention that in some part in column number 4 of table 14, because there is an auto-populated number which is coming from annual return. If you don't put number in any of the columns of table 14.4, and an auto-populated number is coming from annual return, it will give a negative figure, and this unfortunately sometimes becomes a reason for an unreconciliation and notices are being issued. So to ensure that unnecessary cryptic notices are not issued, these notices which do not require application of mind, to avoid them, just put a number in and put a disclosure that you have opted for not punching the numbers in table number 14 because it was optional in nature. Okay. This year, as I explained, that we have late fees for not for delayed filing of GSTR-9C. Before this, we already had a circular in January 2025 which clarified that up till 23-24 you're not required to basically pay any late fees. But now what it says is, up till the due date of your annual return, or let's say at actual filing of date of annual return, whichever is later, if your GSTR-9C filing is beyond that, then for those days only you'll be required to pay an additional late fees for delayed filing of GSTR-9C. So now we have two late fees. One is for delayed filing of GSTR-9 and one is for delayed filing of GSTR-9C. The difference is that delayed filing of GSTR-9 is applicable from due date. If you are filing your GSTR-9 after due date, then for that period your late fees is applicable. But if your GSTR-9C is filed after GSTR-9 and your GSTR-9 is not on due date, it is after due date, then only for those balance dates late fees would be applicable. If your GSTR-9 is on due date but GSTR-9C is not on due date, then for those number of days your late fees only applicable for GSTR-9C. So this is additional burden in terms of a non-compliant taxpayer or a taxpayer who is basically doing a delayed compliances. Generally, 9C is not filed on those cases where it is difficult for a taxpayer to identify that how I would do my reconciliation, and that's where generally majority of us file GSTR-9, but we do not file GSTR-9C. Documentation, well, it's an ideal case scenario, though we are standing on 18th of December today, but I think this year it becomes even more important, specifically in terms of input tax credit reconciliations, that all those taxpayers who are forcing us to have a shortcut They say, no, please do reconciliation on a gross basis. Don't do it on a document basis. We should tell them that you may be able to just file your 9 and 9C, but it will not be a proper compliance, because now this year, the notices which will come, they would force us to actually drill down the data at invoice level or at a document level. And your ITC claimed, reclaimed, and reversal, you won't be able to do it on, you won't be able to actually do it on a gross level. You will be required to do it at a document level. Well, first part, outward register with e-way bill reconciliation. Because now in last at least 1.5, 2 years, I have seen plethora of notices which says that your e-way bill data does not match with your GSTR1. And then at that point of time, when you're doing a reconciliation, so in the season of reconciliation, why not do it today? Similarly, your 2A, 2B reconciliation, tagging of your credits on whatever credits are there in your GSTR 3B, that tagging vis-a-vis the credit which is there in your books of account, tagging months, that becomes important. Your RCM registered, unregistered becomes important, because that tells you whether you have to prepare a purchase invoice or not. And last is to ensure that you save yourself from all those allegations of a fake supplier giving an invoice to you, a supplier who's non-registered, and all those things. There you have e-way bill and stock registers reconciliation, which is coming into picture. Last but not the least, GSTR-9C is one particular document or a reconciliation statement which gives you opportunity to upload documents from your side. Like DRC-03 is that one possibility where you can have an attachment. GSTR-9C gives you that opportunity to do the attachment. So whatever you want to explain, whatever compliance which you have done from your side, whatever customizations you have done in your GST compliances, and you want officer to know this, and you do not want this allegation that tomorrow officer comes up to you and tells you that you have not done a proper compliance, well, in that case, all these disclosures are really helpful, and they come into picture. Why am I saying this? Because we have section 126(5) which says that if you have already informed to the officer and then subsequently any miscommunication or any wrong reporting or any non-compliance is found out, then while applicability of a penalty, your compliance of telling to the officer beforehand will be really considered as a mitigating factor while determining the penalty there. So this becomes important, that when the provision of the law itself tells you that penalty quantification would obviously be treated as relaxed if you have done compliance from your side, then in those cases it becomes important that you have an explanation from your side given. So I think I have still taken an hour to explain whatever I could explain from GSTR-9C. I'll now basically try and take up whatever questions which are there. Okay, so there are, yeah.
There is a question in the chat box.
Okay. If payment, okay, so one question is from Mr. Advocate Pankhil Shah. If payment through DRC 303 has been done while preparing 9 and then 9C is filed, then table 1116 and part 5 additional liability of GST 9C is to be filled up or not. Well, it depends. If you have made payment through GSTR through DRC 03 and that liability is part of your books of account, then definitely that will come in your table 9, but it will not flow from your GSTR 9. So it will give you an unreconciled difference, and that's where you can explain that unreconciled difference, that liability which is coming as short is actually has been paid through DRC 03. This is the number, but it is not coming from GSTR 9. So that can be one disclosure which you can make. Then Shubhamji is asking a question. Sir, can you explain a little bit more on the section empowering officer to ask for state-wise trial balance? So I'm saying section 71 tells you that you can have access to a business premise. And while having an access to the business premise, if you read the section, it tells you that officer can ask you to give a trial balance. Now, because in GST, the officer has a jurisdiction on a GSTN. It does not have a jurisdiction on a company as a whole or person as a whole. So there is a difference between a registered person and a person. Because registered person is GSTN wise, so that officer, because has a jurisdiction on that registered person, it can ask for trial balance of that particular registered person only. So that's what I was trying to explain, that under section 71, they can ask for the trial balance. Okay. Then Chetanji is asking a question. Books is not matching with GSTR 1 and 3B. Then what to do? Well, the answer to that is not lying in GSTR-9C. That answer to that is lying in your GSTR-9. How have you filed your GSTR-9? If your approach in filing of GSTR-9 has been that you've taken figures from your GSTR-3B, that means those figures are now coming into your GSTR-9C. If you've taken an approach that you've taken figures from your GSTR-1 in your GSTR-9, then those figures are coming in your GSTR-9C. My advice would always be, or at least how do I do it, that whatever is there in a GSTR-3B, we try and reconstruct that in GSTR-9, and then on that basis we come to GSTR-9C. So the answer is I am comparing my books with GSTR the figures of annual return flowing from GSTR-3B. If in case there is additional liability in my GSTR-1, which I was not supposed to report in my GSTR-3B, I would put an attachment with my GSTR-9C by saying it is a wrong reporting in 1. If let's say there is any short reporting in my GSTR-1, but I have made a proper disclosure in GSTR-3B, then I really don't worry. I will make a reconciliation on the basis of figure of my 9 and 9C as I explained just now. I hope this is clear, sir. Now Deepak ji is asking a question. Can we put same numbers in 12C of 9C and 13 of 9 and put a note under table 12 of 9C saying that we are reporting based on invoice data and not posting date? Well, answer is you are technically that would be wrong because your posting date is quite important while you're punching your numbers in GSTR table 9 of table 12 of GSTR 9C. If you're not putting it on a posting date basis, then effectively you are not respecting the reconciliation which government is asking us to do. And now with the new FAQ which we have in place because of 6A1, you can't have only those numbers in table number 13 where you have recorded credit in books of account in 24-25 and claimed in 25-26. So Deepak ji, my answer would be no. This would not be a proper disclosure. This would effectively be a jugaad, which officer again would not be able to understand this. So it would be against the FAQ there in that case. Then he said, if there is a timing difference in credit note of 2B and debit notes of books, how do we report? Generally, debit notes issued by buyer reaches to the seller next year and corresponding credit notes are issued next year. So effectively, you're saying that I would have reversed my ITC based on debit note and supplier would have issued a credit note subsequently. Answer is, if I have reversed my ITC, I would put that in table number 7 of GSTR-9. It will not appear in my table 8A this year, or even if it may appear in table 8 this year, the document date is of 24-25. If that is happening, then it is okay. It would not cause any problem in my table 6 and 7 and 8. And when I go to my GSTR-9C table 12, then basis my debit note, I would have reverse credit. So that is coming in my 12A as a negative figure. And because I punched that figure in my table 7 of GSTR-9, so it will also come as a negative figure, so it will match. So effectively, if the document date of credit note of the supplier is 24-25 but issued in 25-26, there would not be any problem. Even if document date is 25-26 of supplier, and I've still issued a debit note and I've punched that in table 7 of my GSTR-9 and it is part of my books of account, still it would not be any problem according to me. It would not cause any issue. Then Zenab is asking, taxable turnover 2.5 CR, sale of land non-GST, schedule 3, supply 6 CR, 9C applicable? No, not applicable because this is not part of your aggregate turnover. Recording of this webinar, that I don't know, sir. Sham Agarwal is asking, if March 24 input supplier is filed their GST return in May 24 and that input showing in May 24 GSTR-2B and taken as well as so, that shown in which year of GSTR-9? Technically, in table 8, it should have come in last year because that is in March 24. But in now this year, it should form part of your 6A1. And that's the whole purpose of 6A1 this year, that it should not go to your table number 8 this year. So the answer is it should go to your 6A1 this year. And it will definitely lead to a situation where you would have to give a disclosure, maybe in your 9th year at the time when a notice would come, sir. When Chetanji is asking, sir, in the table 12 of 9C, there is a difference is coming. What is the reason which I am not able to understand? Oh, you have punched a table also, sir. Now that I can't answer, sir, because these are numbers which I mean, offhand, I won't be able to answer, but you're asking the difference is positive, then it is okay. No, positive, negative, that does not matter, sir. If there is a difference, you have to give an answer to that. So, how have you taken your 12A numbers? What have you punched in your 12E? That really needs to be understood, sir. Shubham ji is asking, sir, you mentioned about Kolkata High Court judgment regarding allowing ITC basis reporting in GSTR-9. Can you give more context on the basis of this judgment? Was the annual return filed within time of 16.4 as ITC being a statutory right? Well, the context is in this case, they actually failed to file report in GSTR 3B. Then they wrote to the officer. They couldn't do anything, and then they filed this in GSTR 9. Then they brought this before the Honorable High Court. High Court did say that do not treat this as a precedent, but they said yes, there should be some functionality where credit should be given to the taxpayer. What I'm trying to say, this is not a precedence which would be applicable in every case, that you don't put your ITC in your GSTR 3B and start putting that in GSTR 9. But what High Court appreciated was the bona fide efforts made by the taxpayer, where they are punched numbers in, tried punching numbers in 3B, couldn't do it. Then they wrote to the officer, couldn't have any solution to it. So then the only option left with them was to punching a GSTR 9, then got a notice, and then took the matter to the High Court. So basically, what courts tried to say that return filing is just a facilitation measure. In fact, you would remember that recently Supreme Court said rectification of returns is a right, is a right of a taxpayer and is part of a right to undertake business. Okay. So if I am not able to do business because I have done some errors in my return, and if the GST software is not able to give that opportunity to me, then effectively it affects my right to do business. So in that context, this judgment is there. You can't treat this as a precedent, but this definitely you can use this as a base, sir. Shamji is saying because it is not showing in financial year 24-25 GSTR-9 in table 8 and also not showing in previous year 23-24 GSTR-9, which already, no, it will be shown in table 8A of previous year. I am pretty confident about it because the document date is of 23-24. Raja Saab is saying in table 6B, should we mention last year ITC negative figure for purpose of matching the 6A2? No, don't do that, sir. Only put that in 6A1. Don't put anything in negative. Obviously, there'll be a question asked which you would have to answer because this is for the first time that table 6A1 is coming. What to do with table 6M? 6M now is not this table. 6M is the table where you're punching details of ITC coming from ITC 01 and all other specific documents. So nothing to be done this year of 6M, sir. Swati ji is asking, I have filed wrong credit note in GSTR1. This was wrongly done in October 25 for F4 24-25. How to show it? Don't show it. In table 11, don't show it. That would be the answer here. Don't show it. You will have a difference which would be coming from a 1 and GSTR-9. Put an attachment to your GSTR-9C and then wait for the notice to come. It's a notice which will definitely come, but put an attachment with 9C, that will solve it. Swapnil ji is asking, will there be a negative difference in 8D for GST-9 due to current year ITC claimed in next year? Current year ITC claimed in next year. No, yeah, that difference would be there if, let's say, you have claimed some excess credit and you have reversed that, and that excess is beyond your table 8A, then there will be a problem. Otherwise, I don't think there will be any problem because of this. So there is one case where you have claimed excess credit this year, which was not part of your 2B. That issue will come, but if you have reversed that, then it will give a camouflage situation would come because of that. For that, again, you will have to wait for the notice, sir. There is no other option. So I think, yeah, up till now, whatever questions are there in the chat box, I have answered that. If there is any other question anybody wants to raise hand, they can ask.
Yes, sir.
Swati
In the
ji is
chat box, we have covered all the questions.
yes, sir.
Yes. So participants, if you have any query, you can ask.
What to do with negative difference in ITC? Negative difference, if you're talking about 8D, you can't do anything. That only possibility that is coming. I'm saying you have claimed excess credit from 2B in your 3B this year in 4A5. You may have reversed that in 6B, 4B2 or 4B1. but because your reversals don't come in your 6B, hence, and because your 8B is linked with 6B, you'll have a problem. But no problem, carry with that, take that problem with you, put a disclosure in your 9C attachment, wait for a notice, and then give an answer, sir.
Uh, sir, we have covered all the questions in the chat box also. So, Rohit,
Yes, so I would request our chairperson, C. Anup Kumar Dhawarkar, sir, to conclude with a vote of thanks for our esteemed speaker, Yash Dhadda, sir, for the wonderful deliberation. Sir, Anup, sir, please.
Sir, first of all, sir, thank you for giving your valuable times and accepting our acceptance in a short span of times. Really, it is a very insightful sessions. और सर ने हर टेबल्स को 5, 6, 7 स्टैंडर्ड एंड आइडियल डॉक्यूमेंटेशंस, स्पेशली स्पेशल फोकस ऑन टेबल 12 आईटीसी, जो पूरे भारतवर्ष में डिस्कशन का इशू बना हुआ है, एंड गिवन द स्पेशल एम्फेसिस ऑन दैट एंड द जुडिशियल प्रोनाउंसमेंट एज वेल, and all the queries in the chat, was a lot of queries posted in the chat box, so all the queries was answered. So really it is a very very insightful sessions, and I really thanks to the yes Dhadda sir once again for giving the time and making session more interactive and more insightful to all of participants. And in the same time I really thanks to the all the participants for make the session very interactive. So thank you very much, and thank you Rohit also, our co-chairman of the Indirect Tax Committee, for organizing and coordinating for the seminar. So thank you, Yazzie, for giving the time. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We end the session here. Thank you so
Thank,
much, sir.
thank you.